Hi everyone. What's good, family? Chief Drano is live. I have with me a very important topic to discuss. I was posed a challenge by a channel visitor, someone that visited my channel, specifically my last video about Putin. Okay, about Putin making the claim. Okay, I've searched high and low, like Brother Holip said before. I searched high and low, and it's been 3 days now, and I haven't found um, any valid source to Putin's claim. But hypothetically, let's just say Putin said it. All right, Putin quoted. So the comment on my page was saying that the video would have been a really great one if I had gone straight to the point. But what the person did not understand is that was a live stream, and I was interacting with people in the chat. So if people ask a question in the chat, it can throw me off a tangent. Okay. But then I addressed the issue fully, okay, to my best knowledge. Could have done more if I dedicated enough a lot of time to it, but which I didn't, and I didn't want to make it too long. But I did fully address it. It's 34 minutes long, and I said everything that I wanted to say. So spend time and watch the entire video. So I'll take that again, okay, for that reason, okay. I will take that again, and I will readdress this topic, okay. Like I said, there's no evidence that Putin made this quote. In fact, Africans are saying that, the quote is what Africans are saying, but they're not bold enough to say that we Africans are saying this, okay? Because this is what happens on the continent, okay? If you criticize an African government, okay, you could go missing, all right? And this is the least I could say about that, okay? So someone from the continent could have said this, but then wants to put it, they're not bold enough to claim it, but would rather point fingers at Putin, saying Putin said it. All right, so they basically giving credits to Putin for something so intelligent. Putin might not have said it. All right, so the topic of today is tribalism. Okay, tribalism, which is essentially the African family structure. Okay, is everything that's wrong with Africa. Tribalism. Okay, tribalism is so backward. It's 2018, almost 2019, and some Africans are so tribalistic. Okay, and I know tribalism can occur in so many forms, but the core, I mean, the fundamental of this, okay, is structured in the family, okay, and this is the structure of the African family. All right, so my understanding of tribalism can be, attributed to, say, rival football gangs. I mean, football supporters. So I go for Chelsea, and some other people will go for Arsenal, and then you have Chelsea fans bickering with Arsenal fans. Okay, that is also an example of tribalism, but except people don't want to see it that way. All right, so my tribe is Chelsea, and your tribe is Arsenal. So you have this, hatred towards me, but I mean, it's just a football game. Right, so when it comes to tribalism in Africa, okay, an African sees it as so important because it's so embedded in the family structure. All right. So modernization will be what will end tribalism in Africa. Big cities, flashy lights, urbanization. All right, because not until you break the family structure of Africa, or you restructure the current family structure of Africa, okay, tribalism will always exist. The problems in Africa will always exist, and the situation in Africa will be the same. Okay, nothing will change. So the change in Africa will come from changing the Africans' perspective and reality, changing the Africans' mentality. Okay, this is the first step, okay, to ending tribalism in Africa. Okay, restructuring the African family system. So African leaders know this. They know this very well. African leaders know this, that this is how Africans are. Okay, if you break down the African family, okay, you destroy the African. Okay, the Europeans know this very, very well. They know this very well. The early Europeans studied the Africans. They lived amongst the Africans for 200 years before enslaving them, because they know that they can pin one tribe against the other, okay, and they can destroy themselves. So that's basically what the European did. All right. So not until you restructure the African family system, okay, Africa will remain what it is. And the best way to do this, okay, is modernize Africa. Urbanize Africa. Okay, because when you urbanize Africa, okay, it essentially breaks down the tribal system of Africans, because these people leave their tribes, their villages, their towns, okay, their localities, okay, move to these cities, okay, and search for modernization. Okay, by doing this, right, it systematically breaks down the African family structure, okay, where tribalistic Africans leave their tribes, okay, move to the cities, okay, and engage with people of different tribes, where they have to learn to work together, okay, to earn the daily bread, as to take it back home to their families. Okay, by doing this, okay, these people may not even go back to where they come from. They will end up staying in the cities, okay, and then re-educating themselves. Okay, so African leaders, okay, know this very well. Okay, they know that tribalism, okay, is what gives them power. Okay, that's why tribalism is the core factor that has plagued East Africa, okay, especially East Africa. Tribalism is what's plagued East Africa, okay, to the extent of they, killing each other over little things. All right, Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia recently joined hands in peace, okay, to promote economic stability. All right, and this is a positive step forward, okay, to ending tribalism, okay, and promoting progress in that region. So I'll go straight to Putin's quote, okay. Now, Putin is quoted that. So this is a news article. Okay, Russian President Vladimir Putin says Africa is a cemetery for Africans. When an African becomes rich, his bank accounts are in Switzerland. He travels to France for medical treatment. He invests in Germany, buys from Dubai. He consumes Chinese. He prays in Rome or Mecca. His children study in Europe. He travels to Canada, USA, Europe for tourism. If he dies, he will be buried in his native country of Africa. Okay. So Africa is just a cemetery for Africans. How could a cemetery be developed? Okay, so this is allegedly Putin's quote. So I've searched high and low, okay, for a direct source. I've searched for like a major news outlet, but no major news outlet supports this. All the news outlets that you find on the internet are of African origin, okay. You have, the first one I saw was a Zambian news outlet. The next one was a Kenyan, and South African and Nigerian. So it's all over Africa. Okay. The good thing is the entire continent of Africa is speaking on this this topic. Okay, but I cannot see any international news covering this. All right. So the validity of Putin quoting this is in question. All right. But regardless, right, this statement is really true, and I said in my previous video that this statement is really true. Whether Putin said it or not, this statement is very valid. Okay, and it's not to just the African leaders, it's to Africans that live overseas as well. I came to Australia when I was very little. Okay, but I know very well that I am Australian citizen. Okay, I am Australian. But at the same time, I recognize that my motherland is Africa, okay? It will never change. And nobody can take that away from me. All right, I am a proud African. At the same time, I am a proud Aussie. All right, so my goal is, in future is to help Africa develop, okay? Every day is my dream. I dream about this every day, okay? And if I don't do anything about my dreams, okay, I will feel inadequate. It's as simple as that. But it is sad that people who've moved overseas, okay, who've moved to the Western countries such as the United States or England or anywhere in Europe, at a later age, okay, neglect Africa, do not look back, do not want to do anything to help Africa develop, okay. They'll rather claim everything but African, all right. And I find this very shameful. I find this very appalling, and I encourage everyone, okay, who notices these traitors, okay, African traitors, to point them out, okay, embarrass them, okay, and cause them to change, okay, because African immigrants need to go back to Africa, okay, to build Africa. All right, it's their responsibility to build Africa. It's not China's responsibility to build Africa. Okay. But saying this, right, there are a lot of Africans that send a lot of money back home. Undoubtedly, okay, Western Union makes a lot of money because of Africans sending money back home. Okay, the amount of money Africans send back home to Africa, it's staggering. But you can question what happens to this money. Where does this money go? Okay, so this is also another problem that most Africans who come, especially Africans that are older, that have moved to the West, okay, they always think about family. Okay, Africans, for those of you who know Africans, right? Africans are mostly about family. They love their family. Okay, and it's the core. Tribalism is embedded in family. Okay, the family structure is so so intricate that it embraces tribalism. Okay, it encourages tribalism. tribalism is woven in the fabrics of the African family. So when an African is sort of like a is has better himself, okay, has gained something of financial advantage, okay, they're always thinking about helping their family back home. Okay, so they spend about half their resources trying to improve their family's affairs back home. But these families in Africa, okay, they receive these funds and they just blow it up. But you can't. There's nothing substantial that these families can prove for receiving these funds from their families abroad. Okay, it's really sad to the point that some Africans have put it on themselves that they wouldn't want to have anything to do with their family back home. Okay, it is that sad. Okay. A lot of Africans spend a lot of money, okay, a lot of resources sending a lot of resources back home in terms of money, okay, finance, and people back home just misuse the money and the funds. Okay, they have nothing to prove for it. All right, so this is another problem that a lot of Africans who have left Africa just want to have a peace of mind in the Western countries and don't want to deal with Africans anymore. All right, so this is something that to consider as well. So Putin's statement is so valid for that factor. Okay, all right, for that factor alone. Okay, that the problem in Africa is tribalism. Okay, and to end tribalism, okay, is the government's initiative to modernize Africa. Okay, to invite investment into Africa. So what China is doing, okay, people criticizing this move, okay, it's the African governments inviting Chinese governments to come and develop, okay, Africa, okay. People can say, oh, what are the African engineers doing? What are this and that doing? But you need to understand that the conditions that China places on these governments is that we will help you, but these things are going to be built by our people. Excuse me. So the Chinese government is trying to provide employment for Chinese people as well. For those of you who know China very well, okay, China is over 1 billion people, 1.5 billion people. Okay, not everyone in China is rich. Okay, a lot of people in China live on $20 a day. All right, so these people, the government tries to provide employment for them. So when the deals are signed for these development in these African countries, okay, the Chinese government provides jobs for these people to go into Africa or wherever, okay, to work, so they could be able to send money back home to feed their families. Okay, so these are part of the agreements that the Chinese governments have signed with the African governments. So you can't just say that the African government should just employ African engineers or doctors or contractors or whatnot. Okay, but the deal that China has put on the table involves Chinese workers. Okay, so there's no way around that. It's a deal, and it has to be signed and approved. Else, the deal can never go on. Okay, these things cannot happen in Africa if deals are not signed. All right, so you need to understand that. You need to understand that. So I am going to address the main topic. Okay, is tribalism and the tribalism embedded in the African family structure. Okay, how to end this tribalism. Okay, which is by far the most detrimental factor when it comes to development in Africa. Tribalism. When it comes to progress in Africa, okay, it's tribalism. Okay, so I will I will. There is a channel by the name JPV, Junk Pile Videos. Okay, and I was on that channel. Okay, and recently was on that channel a few days back. I was interviewed. Okay, and the title of the interview, the topic was the African realities versus the Western narratives. Okay, so I addressed that to my best knowledge. Okay, because I am a Pan-Africanist, I addressed it to my Pan-Africanist standpoint. Okay, or perspective. Okay, I addressed it to that, but it was a part two to that, and it involved a continental African. But this gentleman, okay, he's so pro-African. Okay, this guy is so pro-African, so pro-tribalistic African, pro-Ugandan, whatnot. Okay, but this dude lives in the United States. Okay, and it just puts that lady from Congo saying all this rhetoric about African Americans, showing this disrespect towards African Americans. Okay, it just gives it another perspective. Okay, and supports what this lady was saying. Okay, these continental Africans just don't have an open mind. They don't have an open mind to the point that this man, okay, from Uganda thinks that Pan-Africanism is fraudulent. Pan-Africanism is what's wrong with Africa. Okay, and this guy praises tribalism. He praises tribalism. He promotes tribalism. Okay, and he says that as long as he lives, okay, he's gonna make sure that he will spend all his resources, all his time to bring down Pan-Africanism. Okay, he sees Pan-Africanism as everything that is wrong with Africa. Okay, and it's just appalling, and you're going to hear him. Okay, I wanted to address this. Okay, I wanted to listen to it. Okay, I was listening to it before, but I had to run off to do something. But we will listen to it together. Okay, and I will address it as we go. All right. So I was trying to write down some points. Okay, the most rich Africans love the state of affairs in Africa. They love how things are and want to keep it that way because people look up to these people, and it's kind of like they want to be the only people that are rich in Africa. They want to be the only people that poor people look up to. It's sort of like a caste system where the rich are rich, the poor are poor. The rich stay rich, the poor stay poor. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. Okay, it is what it is in Africa. Okay, and this is embedded in tribalism. Okay, people worship rich people in Africa. Okay, and these rich people and people in power and authority know this. Okay, and they want to keep it that way. They want to be like gods and pharaohs. All right, they want to be like gods and pharaohs, and that's why things can not be done, rapidly in Africa. Because you have to go through these people first and their ideologies. Okay, this is very, very selfish and very, very backward. It's a backward mentality in 2018. If you are a rich person and you are someone of influence, okay, you are an influential leader, and then you think that I am the pharaoh, I am the god, everyone needs to look up to me. All right, this is really, really backward. It is really, really backward, and it's not good for society. Okay, it just makes Africa so weak. Okay, anyone today, 2018, can go and recolonize Africa so easily. Okay, so easily. So if it wasn't for the eyes of the international media, okay, Africa will be colonized again that easily. All right, so it just hurts me to hear that this gentleman is saying Pan-Africanism is fraud. All right, so I will go straight to this video now. All right, I see I've got no viewers at the moment, so I'll go straight to this video. All right, and we shall address it.
Maybe there's a marriage shortage of men where you came from, or what?
So the host is JPV, and the guest is Ometefu Mpagi, okay, from Uganda. All right, and the topic was African realities versus the Western narratives. Okay, part 2. So it goes on with a problem in Uganda where this African American came claiming that he was a prince. He came to deceive. Okay, he came to deceive this village clan. Okay, married the princess of this clan. Okay. Or tribe, okay, and it turned out that he was fraud, okay, he was fraud, and he wasn't a prince after all. Divorced this woman, and then basically put shame to this tribe. So I'm gonna fast forward.
I've heard these stories.
I'm gonna fast forward this video to where exactly, okay, this guy's talking about tribalism, or where I came in the video and I started asking questions. Okay, so we will address that.
Before, I know the preference. You know, there's a thing about preference. There's things about preference where I don't care. You know, where they come from or what they look like. But the premise on going after a man because he's looked at as an ATM is wrong in itself, and that is something that a lot of people in Africa that do that need to stop that, because that's only going to cause problems down the road. You may have some success stories for the simple fact that they were picked up, married, and they went their own way through a divorce. And Kenyan women that go to trees for women to go, some are being killed. But, you know, I've even brought men that have gone through that. But from what they told me, just at the airport once they arrive in these countries.
Okay, I'm just trying to find exactly where my questions came in.
Context, the whole idea, the reason why we are exploited.
I was saying I was going to take a job over there, and I'm glad she didn't.
So, but the whole context, the whole idea, the reason why we are exploited in this scenario goes back to politics. As we talk today, can I tell you something?
Go for it.
A German politician, in responding to the way how they should curb up immigration, introduced the idea to the African Union of European countries building up cities in Africa, cities that operate on different set of rules other than national rules, to provide opportunities. In this case, they are calling this voluntary colonialism. You understand? Mm-hmm. But the problem of Africa today is actually not to, from my point of view, I may not be right, but I think I'm knowledgeable enough about political landscapes in Africa, is that the entire project of these crafted countries that were not originally friends, because before the coming of the whites, Africa, when you look at a country like Uganda, we did have around 15 tribes. You understand?
Yes.
And these tribes were not friends. We used to live alongside each other, but we are not friends entirely, you know? And here comes a white man, bundles all these kingdoms together, and create a country we call that Uganda. And in 1962, he pretended that Uganda is independent. But in reality, in Uganda since 1962, we've not had peace. And every time we point this out, they rubbish us. And we've been telling African whites that, look, give us a chance to realign ourselves and go back to our tiny governments. You know, we can still have tiny governments like
Tiny governments in 2018, okay, this gentleman, okay, this video was streamed on the 23rd of November, okay, which is you know, it was the US time, okay, but that was 23rd. I think the dating on this was wrong. 23rd, okay. 23rd, okay. In Australia, it was 24th, okay. 24th, which was Saturday. It was a Friday in America, but this video, I watched it on Saturday, okay. Okay, in 24th of November 2018, this man, okay, is claiming that Africans should be allowed to have their tiny governments. Tiny governments. Okay, he has no clue of what unity means. Tiny governments where anyone can just come and conquer you. In 2018, the bigger the better. Okay, but this man is saying that tribalism is a way. Okay, tiny governments. But I just remembered one thing before I go on. Okay, before I go on with this video, I wanted to read a little bit of the history of the AU. Okay, the history of the AU. This article from Maravi Post. Okay, Maravi Post. I'm not sure where this comes from, but a lot of Indian news outlets, okay, comment on African politics, okay, but I suspect this is coming from India. All right, so but because there are a lot of Indians in Africa, so you know what I mean. So Africa Day, okay, this article was on Sunday, the 29th of May 2016. Okay. Africa Day facts you need to know. The commemoration of the founding of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, now African Union, AU, on the 25th of May 1963 is celebrated annually on this day across the globe, with this year's Africa Day commemoration marking the 53rd. Okay, so this is in 2016. Okay, so 2 years ago. Okay, 53rd anniversary of African unity through AU, which is the African Union. The continent has made tremendous growth politically, socially, and economically since its first liberation from Western hegemonies. Sorry. Some analysts, however, feel that more needs to be done to write a different story about Africa. Below are some facts by jovago.com, Africa's leading online hotel booking portal, that you should know. All right, the formation of the Organization of African Union, OAU, was the result of a watered down compromise on the United States of Africa train of thought. Its main objective of uniting Africa was to identify post-independence socio-economic development concerns which were plaguing the continent. Despite the challenges, a lot of headway has been made, especially in the outright elimination of colonialism. Okay. The African Union AU, point number 2, the African Union AU was adopted to replace OAU at Durban Summit in 2002, tasked with the responsibility of fast-tracking Africa's economic political integration. The African Union has 54 sovereign member states that have assented or ratified to Constitutive Act of African Union to become member states. Okay, this article as of 2016 says that Morocco is not recognized by AU after withdrawing from AU in 1984, but since then I think Morocco has joined. Okay, Morocco has joined, so I think the article failed to recognize that. This was after Western Sahara was approved as a member, a country that Morocco does not recognize. Okay, so Western Sahara is sort of like separated from Morocco. Dr. Inko Sazana Clarice de Lamini Zuma, okay, South African, is the first woman to lead the AU, including its predecessor, the OAU, after being elected chairperson in 2012. Okay, only 6 African countries have. Point number 5. Only 6 African countries have Africa Day as a national holiday. So as of 2016, okay, including Ghana, Mali, Namibia, Zambia, Lesotho, Zimbabwe. Per contra, the day is recognized and celebrated regularly, okay, globally. Sorry. With this year's theme being Building a Better Africa and a Better World, special focus is being put on human rights and an emphasis on women's rights. This is in line with African Union's 2063 agenda. So here again, the Agenda 2063 as of 2016 was being quoted here in this article. So, which is an approach to how the continent should effectively learn from the lessons of the past, build on progress now underway, and strategically exploit all possible opportunities available in the short, medium, and long term so as to ensure positive socio-economic transformation within the next 50 years. Okay, so this is from Jovago, and I'll go down to the comments, okay? I guess, okay, there's only one question, one comment here, okay? So Ahmed Kadad says that Morocco outside the African Union is a real masquerade. Okay. Algeria should stop its maneuvers to divide Morocco. So basically Algeria is trying to divide Morocco. That's what this guy is saying. The Western Sahrawi made the choice of unity in 1975, then autonomy in 2007. Okay, Algeria must listen to the native Western Sahrawi who are sovereign South Morocco. Algeria must give up sponsored maneuvers to keep Western Sahara issue alive. Thanks. Okay, so this is a comment. The only comment on the article about Western Sahara. So, but then since the day this article was written, I think Morocco, I read it, that Morocco is part of the African Union. So, and if you saw from the thumbnail, Morocco is boldly in there. Okay, it's in there. So basically, every country in Africa is part of the AU. So now we go back to our gentleman's topic. Okay, what he's saying. It's quite outlandish, but we need to listen to it. All right.
Like we can.
And I apologize. I'm trying to go straight to the point. But the nature of these kind of topic is you cannot just go straight to the point. It's not a 5 minutes topic to discuss. Okay, you need to break it down. You need to spread it out. And I'm not a professional. Okay, you shouldn't expect me to be so professional. Okay, this is my vlog. Okay, this is my spare time. I don't get paid for this. Okay, I don't get paid for this, but it's out of passion. Okay, it's out of love for Africa and people of Africa and the diaspora, and the vision and the desire to see all of Africa united and united with the diaspora of everyone of African descent united. Okay, this is why I do this. Okay, and I am a bold, proud Pan-Africanist. Okay, and I promote Pan-Africanism. And this is why I do this. All right. So excuse me if I go off tangent, okay? But it is really, really necessary, okay? It is really, really necessary. Everyone processes information differently, all right? And I need to break it down, all right? So we go back to this video.
We have total kingdoms and autonomous to realign
So
ourselves.
I'll just go back a little bit.
And in 1962, he pretended that Uganda is independent. But in reality, in Uganda since 1962, we've not had peace. And every time we point this out, they rubbish us. And we've been telling African whites that, look, give us a chance to realign ourselves and go back to our tiny governments. You know, we can still have tiny governments, like we can have total kingdoms, an autonomous government that has its own set of rules, its own beliefs, its own language. And we can also have tribes like Baganda, where I come from, where we have our king, our kingdom, and our traditions, and our way of life. In that, we can start thinking of solving the problem of immigration. And I think, to me, that's where the solution is. But each time we look at Africa, the people with money, the people who are benefiting from this fake project, don't want to face the reality and the truth of what should be done. So under that scenario, problems start to pile up, to pile up, to pile up. You've said that you are going to Kenya, you married a Kenyan, right?
Right.
You will very well know how they are trying to force the East African community, you know?
Right.
They are trying to force us. None of the citizens, either in Kenya or Uganda or Tanzania or Burundi or Kenya or Rwanda, and now savages from South Sudan. And I know why I call them savages.
So this man, this man is calling another African savages. Okay, this is what tribalism does. Where an African sees another African as a savage. This is what tribalism does. Okay. He sees tribalism so embedded in the family structure that one tribalistic person sees his family better than the another family. All right. So all he wants to do is better his family, okay, and will not do anything collectively to benefit the entire country. Not until you eliminate this ideology, okay, if you don't eliminate this ideology from the grassroots, you will never eliminate the problems in Africa. Okay, you will never do that. Where this man wants a small unit kingdom to thrive, a powerful small. There's nothing such as a powerful small kingdom. It never exists. Okay, it doesn't exist. It can't exist.
Savages, because the way they are behaving today is still so primitive that you question yourself whether they are still human beings or not, you know? So they are now forcing us together to create this so-called East African community as a country, you understand?
Right.
But that's running away from the problem. So through all these transitions,
How is that running away from the problem? They're trying to solve the problem. They're trying to get rid of tribalism, because that is the main problem of Africa. Tribalism is so detrimental. It's so detrimental to Africa. Okay, tribalism ruins Africa, and this is what the AU is trying to eliminate. Okay, but this man doesn't see it that way. He believes that tribalism is the way to go. So later on, I asked him a question: does he think tribalism is the way forward? And he said yes. He blatantly said yes. Tribalism is the way, and you will listen to it. You will hear it.
which are not working, people like this guy from Denmark see the virtue and come up and exploit this virtue with their foreign intentions. So we end up in a circle where we become so confused that we cannot even solve any single problem, be it economical, be it social, be it political. But the truth is known to us and to all other people who do have interest in Africa, is that if you want Africa to move and be able to make its own rules and be able to shape its own destiny, you have to solve the political problem. If you don't solve the
You have to solve tribalistic problems first. Because you are not united. If you are united, then you will solve the political issue. But because you're so tribalistic, you cannot solve the national political issue. All right? You can't solve the national political issue if you are so tribalistic.
Political problem, Africa will still continue to be exploited, and many of African women and men would still be able to be sold now on open markets in the Middle East. As I finish this, I think you also read that the United Kingdom has amended its military recruitment policy, meaning that now they are going to recruit foreigners to serve in their military. Have you read about that?
No, I have not, but the U.S. has done that.
And many Africans now are jubilating that they are going to serve in the UK military. Not that they love the United Kingdom, but because they think that joining the military, the foreign military, and serve them would open up a route for them to become maybe European citizens. When I tell them that, look, in America, I read about people every day from Mexico who serve the US military and now being deported completely. And the US military, after serving, never really acknowledges them as human beings, as people who deserve to live in the US after years of serving. So what makes them think that when they join US military or UK military or any other foreign military, it would open up for them to live a much more flourishing life? So the idea is, even when we highlight these problems, nobody is listening to us. Our fellow Africans are not listening to us. And by the time they listen, we've warned Africa about China. We are talking about China, and now I cannot go to Zambia. I cannot visit Zambia. We have a scholar from Kenya.
I know what you're talking about.
The scholar from Kenya deported from Zambia because he spoke against China in Zambia, and the government said, you are not welcome to Zambia. So that's what it is. And we don't know how long this must go. Not that because we don't know, we know what should be done, but we don't have the power. We don't have the guns. Actually, power in Africa means guns. Do what they don't want you to do, and they shoot you and kill you, and that creates fear. And it removes the debate from the public, and everybody now say, okay, I do rather go and work as a maid in the Middle East or in any other foreign country other than talking against the government and be murdered in broad daylight. You know, that's what it is.
Okay, so I want to bring something up that you said regarding like your independent governments between the tribes in Uganda and the East African Union is what I first heard about it about 6 years ago when I was over in Kenya, second to the last time that I was there. They were talking about that to where you don't need a visa, you just need one ID card to go between. At that time, it was just Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania.
Yes.
Burundi and Rwanda weren't even included in that conversation at that time. But you're talking about bringing back like our own rules and things like that, and don't want these other nations to come together. But we have a lot of Africans that are in Africa as well as in the diaspora that are wanting one united Africa, but still hold on to their traditions, you know, their own tribal languages and stuff like that, like you're talking about. But that one Africa is basically to control Africa's future so other nations cannot come in and dictate what's going to go on the continent. Now, Is that something you would hope that would happen or not happen?
Actually, let me tell you this, my friend. First, the whole idea of Pan-Africanism, because what you are describing is Pan-Africanism, one Africa, one identity, one government. That's rubbish, and it's built on deception.
Whoa. Stop the show. Stop the show. Oh my God. What JPV is describing is called Pan-Africanism. Okay. Pan-Africanism was built on deception. Oh my Lord. Oh my white Jesus. Oh my white Jesus. Oh my Muhammad. All right. Pan-Africanism was built on deception. Whew. Whew. The first time I heard this, okay, my head almost exploded. I almost lost it. I almost lost my mind. Pan-Africanism was built on deception. All right.
The people brutalizing Africans today, all of them, from Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, a dictator, you know, the worst dictator, worse than Idi Amin, you know. You've read about Idi Amin. Now we have somebody who is worse than Idi Amin. People like Daniel Arap Moi, former president of Kenya, and all other people like Jacob Zuma of South Africa, people like Mandela. All of these people have preached Pan-Africanism, and Pan-Africanism hasn't worked. You know, let me tell you this. I think
Jesus Christ preached Christianity. Did everyone embrace Christianity? Muhammad preached Islam. Did everyone embrace Islam? Even Muslims are divided. There's Sunnis and there's Shiites. Sorry, I couldn't even pronounce that properly, but it doesn't mean that everyone is going to side with it. There's always going to be people that are always going to be opposing this. All right? Just because something is being introduced doesn't mean that everyone is going to accept it. Even if it's good for the people, there are people that would not see it as beneficial to them. And it's appalling that in 2008 you do not understand what Pan-Africanism means. And then you boldly claim Pan-Africanism is built on deception and fraud. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah would be turning in his grave hearing this. Boy.
Africa can be strong if it has independent small countries.
Africa can never be strong if it has small independent countries. Don't you see the reality of this? Okay, you can easily be attacked. You can easily be colonized. Don't you understand the concept of divide and conquered? Divided and ruled? Divide and rule? You don't understand this?
A special agreement to function together as neighbors, to live alongside each other. You know, you don't have to push us into one basket and make us love each other and pretend, you know, that cannot work. Because in a country like when you look at Uganda, I cannot have a job. The reason why I'm in the US, because one, there are so many other reasons. But
so this man thinks tribalism is the way. Okay, tribalism is the way, but he cannot mobilize his tribe to do something for Uganda. Now Uganda is independent. Okay, but his tribe have not done anything to develop Uganda. He's moved to the US, okay, to the United States to have a better life. Okay, and he's in his comfort in the United States and telling everyone that tribalism is the way. He's a prime example of this quote coming from Putin. He's a prime example, and if this quote is true, okay, it is pointing fingers. Okay, the quote is true. Okay, what I meant is, if this is coming from Putin, okay, he is pointing fingers at this man right here. Okay, he is pointing fingers at this man. He's a prime example why Africa is what it is. Okay, because he would live in the West, he would invest in the West. Okay, he would go to school in the West, he would do everything in the West, and he would die because he's so tribalistic. He would say, "Send me back home and bury me back in Uganda." Okay, that is the best you could do for him. Go bury him in Africa. So Africa is a grave for this man. This man, Africa is a grave and a cemetery. All right.
One of the reasons is that I have no economic opportunity in Uganda, and not because I'm incapable of doing what I want to do, not because I don't have skills, it's because of my tribe.
Because you're tribalistic. Listen to yourself. Because of your tribe. Because of your tribe. Listen to yourself.
The reason why this man is exploiting the man who's giving pigs in exchange to the names is because when you look at this village, it's in eastern Uganda, you know?
Okay.
Eastern Uganda, meaning that's a different tribe. The reason why this man is taking advantage of that, because the people running
this man, what this is in eastern Uganda, which means it's a different tribe. Okay, so the whole of Uganda cannot unite past tribes. Like in Australia, like it's so amazing. Australia is an economic giant. Okay, a country of 25 million people. Okay, it's an economic giant because there's no tribes. Everyone sees themselves as Australian first. Australian first. Heck, I see myself as Australian first. Besides seeing myself as African first, okay, I see myself as Australian first as well, because Australia is what's made me who I am. Okay, my economic benefits are due to Australia. I owe this to Australia. Okay, so I will fight for Australia. Okay, and I will fight for Africa as well. I will not choose, you know, Australia over Africa though, because Africa is my motherland. You know, Africa is my motherland. And Africa is the motherland of all. Okay, so Australia is my second home. Okay. Although, because I live in Australia, okay, I will contribute to Australia. But I will not neglect Africa. All right. I will not denounce Africa for nobody. All right. Because Australia means to me that Australia is part of Africa, okay? Native Australians, okay, are originally Africans, okay? So I am proud about that as well. This gives me that, you know, this stands where I put myself in a position where I can love both places, okay? Because I see Australia as part of Africa. All right. Boy.
The government in Uganda feel that the people in eastern Uganda don't have any privilege, any right to enjoy the economy of the country. In this case, all the economy is in one place. It's on one tribe, and the tribe...
All the economy is in one tribe. Listen to yourself, boy. Listen to yourself. All the economy is in one part, which is Western Uganda. Okay, and Eastern Uganda. Okay, because they're a different tribe, you ostracize Eastern Uganda because they are of a different tribe. Listen to yourself. It's tribalism. So if you get rid of this tribalism, okay, you can unite as one Ugandan country. Why can't you see past this tribalism? Why can't you do away with this tribalism? Distribute the wealth between all Ugandans. Why can't you do that? All right, Australia, America that you live in, okay, it's not tribalistic. That's why America is so successful. Okay, America is made up of different states, but they all have a centralized government. Can't you understand this? Okay, wealth is just distributed to all states, all 53 states of America. Okay, the wealth is distributed. All the states have their governments, but they all work together. It's the United States. Why can't Africa do that? Why can't you see past your tribalistic ideologies, which is so primitive? In 2018, you're still promoting this backward thinking. Boy, I am so outraged. I'm outraged.
Enforcing itself to the people using guns, not that they are powerful. You understand? So the whole economy of Uganda is ring-fenced to one tribe, and people are desperate. So when somebody...
So the whole economy of Uganda is reinforced in one tribe. One tribe. The whole economy of... Hey, brother, welcome to the show, Brother Ras. That's just one country. I know that. All right. I know that sorry, I started this stream almost an hour ago. Okay, but I'm focusing on this man. Okay, tribalism. Okay, I've lived in Africa long enough, okay, to really understand the African way of life. Okay, and me living in Australia. Okay, Australia has changed drastically in the last 10 years. Okay, in the last 10 years, there's been an influx of Africans coming in. Okay, Sudanese, Southern Africans, West Africans, North Africans, Central Africans, okay, East Africans. I've been to all these communities. I used to be a Christian. Okay, I used to go to church. I interacted with everybody. Okay, Egyptian, Coptic Christians, Sudanese Christians, Kenyans, Ugandans, South Africans, Zambians, Zimbabweans, Angolans, Congolese, Sierra Leoneans, Liberians. I've been in a church together with all these people. Okay, I've experienced their ideologies and everyone else. Okay, I know how they function. Okay, but it is very, very nice that they can be so divided on the continent, but when it comes to a country like Australia, okay, they unite. Okay, they at least I know that from going to church, they are united. Okay, they are united. All right. So this ideology, this tribalistic ideology, I know it very well that it's an overall African, paradigm. It's the same thing whether you're in Ghana, whether you are in Benin, whether you're in Togo, whether you're in Nigeria, whether you're in Cameroon, whether you're in Angola, Congo, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, Mozambique, Tanzania, Malawi, Rwanda, Uganda. Okay, all these countries, this tribalistic ideology, okay, is the same. Essentially, is the same. Okay, this should tell you that Africa, okay, all Africans were once united. Okay, all united, ruled by one pharaoh. Okay, so when Egypt collapsed, okay, these tribes just moved out and spread throughout Africa. Okay, you can see it clearly that these ideologies are the same all across Africa. So it just made it so easy. Hey O'Shea, welcome to the stream. Okay, this ideology, okay, or this simple structure of the African family made it so easy for the European to target and divide Africa. Okay, because the European can easily go on and just pin Africans against each other because of tribalism. Okay, tribalism. And this man still doesn't get it. In 2018, he believes that tribalism is the future of Africa. He believes that Africans should be allowed to have small unit kingdoms. I wonder what that means, like small unit kingdoms, like 300 people. So throughout the continent of Africa, you're gonna have how many kingdoms? There are over 1.2 billion people in Africa. So you're gonna have at least what, 500,000 small kingdoms or more? Ah, Jesus Christ. Why Jesus Christ? All right, why Jesus Christ? Boy, let's listen to this guy, okay? This man, with all due respect, okay? With all due respect.
Comes and give them a pig, they cannot even fight back because they need this pig, because to them they think that that's a way of at least living another way. But the reason why they are feeling like that is that the economic rights, the economic freedom was taken away from a group of people calling themselves Pan-Africanists, picking guns and killing everybody and ring fencing the economy. This is happening all over, even in Kenya, where one tribe ring fenced the economy. It's happening in Burundi. It's happening in Tanzania. It's happening all over Africa. One group of people, ring fencing the economy and then force other people to be under their feet. That's what it is. So what happened is, it's now clear that Pan-Africanism...
I'm sorry, people. I had to laugh at this. All right. O'Shea says that a white man is trying to hold him back. Oh my God! It is the excuse, right? It is a main excuse for most black people. The white man is trying to hold me back. All right. The white man is holding us back. What are Africans gonna do for themselves? The white man, the Chinese man is holding them back. Boy.
As Africans and a single entity, it cannot work. However, we can have Buganda Kingdom, where I come from, which is independent, with its own government, with its own set of rules. We can then have Ankole Kingdom with the same. We can have Toro Kingdom having the same. And after having all these governments, we can then create a working relationship, agreements that cannot be violated. And
oh my God, this guy is ridiculous. You're promoting all these tribalistic ideas and you want to come together? How can you come together when you're so tribalistic? It doesn't work. Tribalism doesn't work. The only thing it does, tribalism, the only time tribalism works is to bring Africa down. It's doing great. Tribalism is doing great to keep in Africa in its current state of affairs. This is the best thing tribalism can ever do for Africa, to keep Africa divided.
Each of these kingdoms should have a standing military to protect its territories. There is
each of these little kingdoms. Each of these little kingdoms should have a standing military. What is a 300 army gonna do? A 300 army. Okay, so you have a kingdom of 300 people, like a tribe of 300 people, right? So a tribe of 300 people, which includes women and children. So let's say it's gonna have an army of what? At least 100 people. Let's just say 100 people. What is 100 people gonna do when it's invaded? Oh, and this guy lives in the United States of America. This guy lives in United States of America. Okay. And Dynast made a show today. Okay. They're in bed and on board with white supremacy. Okay. but they won't go back to Africa and build Africa. This man lives in the comfort of the United States, okay, and spewing this ignorance. All right. So, brother Dino, people are asleep. Let me share your video. Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead, brother O'Shea. Please, share the video. Some people are still asleep, but there might be people that are awake. But please share the video and get the people to watch it a bit later. But brother Russ, the depth of the problem in each country alone cannot be quantified. I know, brother. It's so huge. You can't quantify the problems in Africa, but you can pinpoint one stand out problem, which is tribalism. If you eliminate tribalism, if you cause everyone to be educated in the Agenda 2063 of the AU, okay, this man here needs to be educated that the AU is in the best interest of Africa. Okay, see, how is Ethiopia? Like, news today, okay, news flash, okay, today, okay, Ethiopia is planning to send satellite to the moon. Okay, Ethiopia is planning to send satellite, to launch its own satellite. Okay, with the help of China. Okay, Ethiopia is going to launch its satellite. Okay, and this is happening because of this president by the name Abiy Ahmed. Okay, who is from a Muslim father and a Christian mother. Okay, who disregards every form of tribalism. Okay, who is united, who sees beyond being Christian or being Muslim. Okay, it is said that even though Abiy Ahmed is Muslim himself, okay, he's able to get the top job, okay, as Prime Minister of the entire United States. Okay, thanks for joining the stream, Sabrina, Nix. Thank you. Okay, this man, okay, in the past 20 years, okay, past prime ministers of Ethiopia have tried, okay, to bring peace in Ethiopia, to bring peace in the Horn of Africa. All of them have failed. In the past 20 years, okay. Abiy Ahmed has only been prime minister since April, okay, about 9 months ago, or 8 months ago, okay. Has united Ethiopia with Eritrea and Somalia. Okay, this is the elimination of tribalism. The problem in the Horn of Africa is simply tribalism, because when you look at even Somalia alone, there's so many tribes in Somalia. Okay, that you just travel about 50 kilometers and this phenotype changes. Okay, from complexion like mine to a very, very, very dark African with wider nose, pointed nose, European stringy hair, straight hair. Phenotype changes. Okay, but the unity, okay, it's only unity that can save Africa, because if we don't unite, okay, we're gonna be still divided, and we're gonna be easily conquered. Okay, so yeah, but Mr. Abiy Ahmed is trying so hard. He's trying, and he's been successful. Okay, he's been successful. Okay, and now he's engaged in a program to launch a satellite into space, into orbit. So, I mean, in unity, okay, you can reach for the stars. Okay, when we stop worrying about horizontal issues, okay, and we can concentrate on vertical issues, okay, we reach the stars. And it is what it is. All right, it is what it is. So the AU has to allow the free movement of Africans home and abroad to first economic empowerment, 2 communication, 3 unity. Exactly, brother Ross. Okay, my previous stream, okay, 3 hours long. Okay, I'm trying not to make this one that long. Okay, but this video is gonna be long. Okay, but if you can go read the agenda 2063 of the AU, okay, it explains right from the get-go. Okay, it explains what it is. Okay, the agenda 2063 does not exist without does not exist without Pan-Africanism. Okay, Pan-Africanism is the core of the agenda 2063. All right, Pan-Africanism is the core of it. So unity is everything. Okay, unity is everything for Africa. Okay, and unity, it's only unity that's going to take us to the stars. Okay, Egypt was able to do what it did because it united. It united with its neighbors and everyone else. When there's peace, okay, people like to say inventions. Okay, people like to say inventions are made based on necessity. Okay, I believe inventions are made when there's peace. Okay, when you have peace, okay, inventions and creativity is achieved with a peaceful mind. If you do not have a peaceful mind, there's no way you can be creative. There's no way you can be inventive. There's absolutely no way, because you are thinking about how you're gonna get your next meal. Okay, you don't have any peace. You can't move forward. You can't. Whilst Europe was spending their resources, educating their people, Africans were struggling to find food to eat. An African is primarily looking for food first, how to feed his family first, okay, before he thinks about developing his neighborhood. Okay, this is the problem in Africa. Not until Africa is allowed to modernize, not until urbanization and modernization comes to Africa, okay, Africa will never develop, solely because the African is only thinking about feeding his family. So I'll move on. Okay, I'll move on with this outrageous statements by this man here.
The reason why we have problems in Africa, because one tribe get a chance to pick up guns, kill all other people, get power, and start exploiting and taking away economical privileges. You don't have to make Africa a single entity for Africa to work. We don't want it.
So one tribe is picking up a gun to fight another tribe, and then in the next statement he says that you don't need to make Africa a single unit to work. Like, it don't make sense. You're contradicting yourself. If you don't unite, okay, this is why this problem exists. If you do not unite, okay, if you do not unite, one tribe is going to see himself superior over the other. One tribe is going to see himself more significant than the other, okay? And he can pick up a gun and fight the other because you're not united, okay? California will not pick up guns and fight what? Washington, okay? Or Arizona. It won't happen. Texas will not pick up a gun and fight New Orleans. It won't happen that way because they know they're united under the United States of America. Right? This is what it is. So who got scattered? All right. I'm not too sure about your question, Sabrina. Please elaborate. All right. Please explain that. But Africans are divided, all right? Africans are divided because of tribalism, all right? Because of tribalism, Africans are divided, all right? So if that's what you mean, Africans are scattered because of tribalism.
That trash.
I get you. I get you on that.
If you meant when Europe fell, I mean not Europe, when Egypt fell, okay, all these tribes that were united under Egypt, okay, when Egypt fell, okay, all these tribes scattered, okay, moved into the interior of Africa. That's why you can see the Bantu expansion. Okay, the Bantu expansion started from Chad. Okay, Chad, Nigeria, Niger area. Okay, Chad. Okay, around Lake Chad. Okay, Lake Chad was a massive lake. Okay, not until 50 years ago. Okay, Lake Chad was huge. Even the interior of Africa, the Sahara was a sea. It was an inland sea. Okay, Lake Chad was a huge lake where you can even put ships on. Okay, now Lake Chad has shrunk to 1/3 of its size because of climate change. All right, so much of Africa used to live around Lake Chad. Okay, this is how big the Egyptian empire was. But when Egypt, yes, Bantu. Okay, the Bantu people are people from like Western, Eastern Nigeria, all the way down south to East Africa and Southern Africa. Okay, minus the Khoi people or the Twa people. Okay, the West Africans primarily migrated from North Africa. Okay, migrated from North Africa. If you want to see the genetics of West Africans, okay, they migrated from North Africa, and a lot of them are mixed with North Africans. Like my DNA, okay, I'm 60% Moroccan Berber, okay, and I'm about close to 40% Tutsi Rwandan. Okay, so this is the ethnic makeup of most Africans or most West Africans. All right, and so the dispersion of Africans from the Egyptian civilization after it collapsed, mainly due to desertification and invasions from the east. Okay, invasions from the northeast Africa. What is it called? The Suez region. Okay, that little portion, the little land bridge that connects Africa to Asia. Okay, the invasion mainly came from there to Asia and then to Africa, and it pushed most Africans out of Egypt, or indigenous Egyptian Africans. It pushed them into the interiors of Africa. So basically, that's what it is. So I'll go back to this gentleman here. All right.
I'm not a Pan-Africanist, and
Okay.
I will never be. But finally, look what it. You know, we don't want that trash.
I get you. I get you on that.
I'm not a Pan-Africanist, and
Okay.
I will never be. But finally, look at it this way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you are a man. You are having 2 kids and a wife. So your family is 4 people, right? And you cannot feed them, right?
Right.
But from your perspective, you think that the only way to feed your 4-member family and make them live better is to marry another wife. And when the second wife fails, then you marry another third wife. How would that work? That's what Pan-Africanism is. We fail to manage small kingdoms. A kingdom where we have same rules, same language.
This man is so African, man. He's like, oh, Pan-Africanism is an African who can't feed his family and then marrying another wife. Yeah, he sees the crumb and not the table. Okay, he says that Pan-Africanism is like an African who can manage his family and then marries another wife. All right, he just doesn't understand. He lacks understanding. All right, he lacks understanding and education, basically. All right, later on in the chat, okay, I said to him he's been misinformed. He goes off saying, oh, he's been educated, he's lived in the West, he's traveled most African countries, blah, 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 okay. Funny, I agree, right? I lived in Africa, okay. I grew up in Africa before moving to Australia, okay. All right. I was still a teenager. No, I wasn't a teenager. Yeah, I was still very young. Okay. Yeah, so almost 20 years now I've been in Australia. Okay. So I do, I do still remember very well about African ways of life. Okay. So what this man is saying, okay, this is just straight coming from ignorance. Okay. ignorance and tribalism, basically tribalism.
Same understanding. We are able to listen to each other, but we cannot listen to each other. We are able to talk to each other, but we cannot talk to each other. We cannot solve any single problem where we understand each other. Then we think that by bringing all other languages, all other tribes, we will solve problems. That's being stupid. And the people who are promoting Pan-Africanism and East Africanism and African Union know what they are doing and how they are benefiting in it. That's why the politician from Germany, who is
it's getting dark in here.
Suggesting that we should embrace voluntary colonialism, feel that it's, instead of going to African governments, individual African governments, he went to African Union. He went to African Union and wanted to use African Union to present this new, what they call voluntary colonialism, as a way of curbing your migrants from going to Europe. This is stupid, and we must reject it. We must reject Pan-Africanism. We must reject East African community and return to the basics of our traditional kingdoms. The peace and unity and prosperity of Africa belongs to independent small countries with working relationship with the
So the peace and development in Africa belongs to independent small countries working in relationship with one another.
Broader world. That's how I see it.
Broader world.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I got at least one, maybe two questions here.
Yes.
The first question is, and this is not a Pan-Africanism ploy here or idea. The idea of, okay, let's just say all nations remain small like they are, okay, and they all have their own functioning governments,
yes,
and their own counties with their own tribal governments and things like that. Let's say we had that, but right now what we do have, which is a big problem, is that we have Africans that would like to visit other African countries and are having a harder time getting into other countries than, say, an American or somebody from the Middle East, which may or may not need a visa, but even if they need a visa, they may pay $50 and they're in. Where somebody from Kenya has a hard time going to someplace like Chad, or somebody from Nigeria has a hard time to going into someplace like Egypt. Now, would you approve of like a one African continental, like?
So what brother JPV is alluding to is an agenda, okay, part of the agenda of the AU, okay, by 2019, next year, okay. The AU is going to implement the one African passport, and I wonder if this man obviously doesn't know about it, okay, where an African can have the one African passport, okay, all throughout Africa. An African, someone from Ghana can travel to Egypt, can travel to Morocco, can travel to Algeria, can travel to Senegal, can travel to Ethiopia, can travel to Somalia, can travel to South Africa, all corners of Africa, can travel to Mauritius, okay, with one African passport. Okay, this is a passport. It already exists. A form of that exists in the ECOWAS, okay, but the ECOWAS is going to be scrapped, okay, and the AU is going to roll in, okay, to unite the entire continent of Africa into one single entity. Okay, it is an agenda and it's fast coming. All right, and it's fast coming. And this man is so misinformed. So we'll listen to his answer now, all right, which will be ignorant.
Passport, we don't need all these restricted visas for Africans to go anywhere else within Africa. Is that something that you would support, so that way there's no issue between travel within each nation on the continent?
Like I said, that can be brought in the working agreements we make, you know. Mm-hmm. The way it is in the US, you can travel from here and go to Alaska and you don't need a visa, you know. But you know, in Alaska, there are a set of rules designed for people living in Alaska, right?
Right. There's county
Yes.
rule, there's state and county rules, but it's
Yes.
still part of the union, which is
Yes.
the U.S.
So we can still have independent small governments in Africa with working relationships, and in those working relationships, we can say we would have a powerful African human rights court, right? And we can give this African human rights court powers to overtake national courts. You understand? We can also say in another agreement that we would not have travel barriers. People would go and travel everywhere and without visas. We can have those kind of agreements. And those agreements should be privileges that can even be revoked if they are abused. You understand? If we abuse them, then can be revoked. But you cannot simply come and force all people, different religions, different languages, and force them into one room and call them now we have one passport.
Okay,
So this man is so ignorant, so ignorant, it does my head in. He's so freaking ignorant, it does my head in. He does not understand that unity solves every problem. Okay, when you are united in one accord, you go in one direction. He doesn't understand that because he's so tribalistic. And this is the problem with Africa, because people are so tribalistic, and I said it before that tribalism is so embedded in the family structure of Africans that an African sees his family first before everything else. Okay, the family structure is husband and wife, okay, then children, okay, then the immediate family, that's immediate family. Then we have the extended family, which is uncles and cousins. And then these extended families, okay, forms the clan, okay, and these clans form the tribes, okay, and these tribes form the ethnicities, okay. So even before that, there's so much division. Even before you get to the tribal level, there's so much division. So much division. So when a president is elected, okay, in Africa, okay, he's looking at his family first. He's looking at how to build his family or improve his family first before he's even thinking of the country as a whole. Okay, he's looking at building his family first before looking at the tribe, okay, or his clan before his uncles and whatnot, extended family before looking at the clan, before looking at the tribe, before even considering other tribes, which the collectiveness of all these tribes becomes a country. He doesn't see that. It's too big for him. It's too grand for him. Boy. So, Brother Raz, headed to Coffee Chief, the best in Africa. After Chief, I'll link you on IG if you're around. All right, brother. Okay, thank you. So we'll go back. You're gonna get coffee, you meant, right? Okay. I'll get back to the video. All right.
That is not what I was getting into. What I was simply saying was asking would you approve of having free travel for any African to go from one African nation to another without any restrictions, whether if it's one type of passport or one type of national ID or continental ID? Would you approve of something like that so there's no restriction on travel?
Yes, I do. I do approve of that.
Okay, because that idea is an African idea. It did not come from an outside source.
Yes, I do approve of that, but I don't approve having a single African government. I don't approve of that because
Okay.
I know what it is and I know where it's heading.
It is a scary prospect. I mean, it's hard to decipher what would be better. Now, okay, here's the second question. I was kind of thinking of it, but let me just go ahead and ask. You know, back in the days when Egypt was in power, when there would be nations from the Middle East or wherever would come to invade, all right, because Egypt is the gateway to Africa from the Middle East. Basically,
White people know this. White people know this. So white people know your history better than you, African.
on land. Now, what they used to do was call many other tribes. They even had tribes in Kenya that would come up and fight for them to defend the nation. They would call upon other nations to fight with them. Now, if something like that was to happen, let's say China tried to invade, would you approve of a continental government that would still keep the independent governments and call upon all nations to defend the borders of the continent as one when that time of need comes? Would you approve of that?
Before I answer that, let me take you to the issue of East Africa, because I know you have understanding of East Africa, right? Mm-hmm. And you said very well that previously the East African community was just Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania.
Right.
Each of these countries had independent governments, right? And each of these governments was able to have its own set of rules. However, we did have East African Airline. We had that. We had an East African Bank. We had all this kind of stuff. And they all looked good, right? And they were functioning very, very well. That's around 1970s, you know? Now, we do have a new East African identity, which brings in countries like South Sudan, which brings in countries like Rwanda and Burundi. Right? You got that?
By the way, he calls the South Sudanese savages. This is a man that calls South Sudanese savages. All right. How can this man ever promote unity? Where is his credibility? Okay. How can you give any respect to whatever this person is saying? I respect him as a human being. I respect him as an elder. I respect him as an African. But I do not respect what he's saying. Calling another African savage. How can this man unite with any other African that wants to advance Africa from its primitive state at current? Well, not to speak of the whole continent. Okay, Africa is rising. Okay, but from what this man is saying, okay, from this man's prospects, okay, it's primitive.
Right.
And this is what's happening currently in Uganda. People from Rwanda and Burundi and South Sudan presenting themselves as refugees, you know, are pouring into Uganda. And once they reach in Uganda, the regime, which is a tyrant regime, issues them with ID, and then European Union, and the US government, and the United Kingdom give money to these so-called refugees, and they buy land from people who are intentionally made poor, you know, people who are intentionally made poorer and forced to sell their land. And sometimes it's actually the government of Uganda buying the land off from people and donating it to these so-called refugees. And remember, when I call them so-called refugees, I am talking about because Rwanda is being considered as the Singapore of Africa. Have you read about that? Everybody is praising Rwanda. Rwanda is doing better. Rwanda is going very high. Everybody is singing about Rwanda. Then we are asking ourselves, why do we have Rwandese refugees everywhere if Rwanda is doing better? Why are we having them? Let me finish this. So the idea is people are giving foreigners money to buy off land from the indigenous people who are intentionally made poorer and whose economical privileges and rights are taken away so that they become poor and sell off the land. And now Rwandese and Burundians and South Sudanese are driving people from my kingdom off their land. There is massive eviction of land, and this is happening even in other African countries like Ghana. Now, people are being evicted off their land by foreigners. So where is the spirit of Pan-Africanism in this? Where is the spirit of Pan-Africanism? Does that behavior represent the spirit of Pan-Africanism? That's how Pan-Africanism works. Should I lose what I have in order to embrace Pan-Africanism?
So this man's misconception is Pan-Africanism means that, if, for those of you who came in later, his perception is Pan-Africanism means that he will lose everything he owns for someone else to benefit. Okay, that in itself is so selfish. Okay, the whole idea of tribalism is selfishness. Okay, this is why Africa is not being advanced, because people are so selfish. So it's just about them and their family, and then that's it. So once their family, once they and their family are better off, that's the end of it. Okay, so it's all about that. It's just about they and the family. That's why you cannot see anything of significant development in Africa. Because you can see like a one rich person, okay, and then a thousand poor people. Okay, and they created that way that everyone will have to look up to this rich person. Okay, it's so selfish in itself that this rich person wants to be the only rich person in Africa, or in his village or town or tribe or whatever. Okay, it's so old and so backward.
Well,
That's how Pan-Africanism works. Should I lose what I have in order to embrace Pan-Africanism?
Should I lose everything that I have in order to embrace Pan-Africanism? Okay, so this man cannot sacrifice for the unity, cannot sacrifice whatever he has for the unification of Africa. Okay, basically this is what this man is saying. I will not sacrifice what I have for the unification of Africa into one single unit. United Africa will never work because of this man's selfish ideologies. Okay, if it does not benefit him, he's not gonna accept it. Okay, basically this is what he's saying. See, this is the problem. This is a problem with Africa. This is why Putin can say this kind of thing to the African leaders or to the people of Africa. Okay, like again, I said that I can't find this quote from any news outlet other than African news outlet. So this thing is spreading through Africa. Okay, but I've not heard it from the BBC. I've not heard it from any international source. Okay, I haven't heard it from any international source. Okay, this is only internally in Africa. When you go look for it, it's only African sources that you'll find. All right, you won't find it in the BBC. You won't find it in CNN. You won't find, like, Putin is big. Okay, you would expect that all these countries, even the Australian news outlet would report on it, but nobody reported on it because it might not be Putin that said it. Okay. It might be some African that said it to avoid going to jail. Okay, to avoid being killed or to avoid being assassinated. Okay, so he say it and pin it on. And this is genius. This is so genius. But you want to pin it on Putin for saying it. Why won't you be brave and claim it? Why can't an African be brave and claim it? You know, but they are afraid that they'll go missing. All right, it is what it is. This is what it is.
Well, you know, that it's very complicated. I don't have the answers to that, and there's a lot of people that don't. I guess the only thing I could say, in the past, Pan-Africanism didn't seem to work. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't be changed in some way and it might work in the future.
Pan-Africanism worked, brother JPV. Okay, I just read to you what the Pan-Africanism did. Okay, Pan-Africanism is what inspired MLK. Okay, Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, Pan-Africanism is what inspired him. Pan-Africanism is what inspired Malcolm X. Okay, Pan-Africanism is what Marcus Garvey promoted. Okay, these things were laid down since 1920s. Okay, before Nkrumah took it over. Okay, and formed the first Organization of African Unity, okay, which in itself brought independence, okay. Kwame Nkrumah was the first person to fight for the freedom of Africa, okay. He fought, like, Ghana was a stronghold for Britain, okay. Britain only had a few colonies in Africa, okay, where the gold is, okay. Before Britain, okay, the Dutch were in Ghana, the Danes were in Ghana, the Portuguese were in Ghana, you know, even the Swedes were in Ghana. Okay, the Swedes were all Europe was part. Germans were in Ghana. Okay, it was called the Gold Coast. All of them were there because Ghana is so rich in natural resources. Before Ghana, okay, it was called the Gold Coast. Okay, there was no Ghana back then. Not until 1957 there was no Ghana. Okay, there was no Ghana. It was called the Gold Coast. Okay, this is where Britain got all the gold from. Okay, Britain came and kicked all these European countries out and took it for themselves. All right. So Nkrumah fought these people, okay, through the efforts of Nkrumah's intelligence, okay, based on Pan-Africanism, based on his studies in America, okay, being influenced by people of Marcus Garvey, you know, all these people, MLK, Martin Luther King, all these people influenced Nkrumah, okay, to fight for Pan-Africanism, to promote Pan-Africanism, okay. The core fabric of the OAU is based on Pan-Africanism, okay. Through this unification of the entire Africa, okay, Ghana was called the Gold Coast, okay, where the Europeans settled was called the Gold Coast. Nkrumah united all these tribes together to form Ghana. All right, Ghana was not what it was 60 years ago. It was called the Gold Coast. But Nkrumah united all these people under Pan-Africanism. All right. He didn't stop there. He went ahead to liberate Guinea-Bissau. Okay. He was involved in Egypt's liberation from the French and the British. Okay. You know, everywhere else, everyone, even Jomo Kenyatta learned something from Nkrumah. What is his name? It just skipped me. The Zimbabwean president. It just skipped me, but you know who I'm talking about. Okay, he was educated in Ghana. Okay, he was educated in Ghana. He even taught in Ghana, University of Ghana. Okay, all these people learned from Pan-Africanism to fight for independence for the individual countries or colonies of Africa. And all these countries, okay, were not Africans on division. Okay, these divisions were drawn by Europeans, and the tiny colonies, okay, became independent countries. Okay, so you can have like a country like Ghana, okay, is part of Ghana is in Togo, part of Togo is in Benin, part of Benin is in Togo, part of Benin is in Nigeria, part of Nigeria is in Benin. Like, it's the same tribal people, same people, but the British and the French divided all these people. The Germans took portions of it, they divided all these people. Okay, when the Germans were defeated, okay, the British further on divided these German colonies amongst themselves, amongst the British and the French. So bringing more division into these families. Again, when you go to Ghana, literally when you cross the border, it's the same people you find in Togo. You cross the border from Volta region, okay, you find the same people in Togo. You cross the border in the eastern part, western part of Ghana, it's the same Akan people in Cote d'Ivoire. Burkina Faso, when you cross the border, it's the same people. So it is very, very necessary that Africa unites. Okay, so this guy is talking about East Uganda, West Uganda. The tribes in West Uganda is depriving the East Uganda from developing. It's all tribalism, okay? Europeans created these borders. Why don't you get rid of these borders and unite? So I wanted to find a quote, so there was something profound that I found somewhere there. The organization of OAU, I can't find the exact quote, but it said before, or I read somewhere that it was the OAU was very, very instrumental in the liberation of other African countries from colonialism. Okay, so saying that Nkrumah's, getting independence from Ghana, okay, sent a shockwave through the British Empire. Okay, it inspired other other African countries, okay, to fight for freedom. All right, and this is where Jomo Kenyatta stemmed from. Okay, Jomo Kenyatta stemmed from the OAU. All right, so come on. Nkrumah did not bring about the OAU by himself. He was coupled with Haile Selassie of Ethiopia. Together, they spearheaded the OAU. All right, and it was supported by Egypt as well. Okay, so this man is spewing rhetoric. I can't find the exact quote from what I read, but so we'll go back to the gentleman's video.
I don't know. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm listening to you.
So I just want to read off a few more comments in the chat.
Yes.
Here comes my
So
comments.
let's see what we're talking about here. So this was after anti-gravity's question. Then we go on to. Okay, so Chief Drino says that talk about the man from Denmark has an immense disregard and disrespect for Africa, which is definitely evident.
Well, if we had our tiny Buganda kingdom or Busoga kingdom, powerful with its own government.
You can't have a tiny powerful kingdom. Okay, this is bullshit. Okay, complete outright bullshit. It's not intelligent at all. There's no way you can have a powerful tiny government. You can't. You can't. It's just dumb. All right, it's just dumb. You can't have a tiny powerful government. How can you have a tiny powerful government? You just be a small fry.
And able to solve the problems of its people, we wouldn't have people like the one from Denmark. We would not have that. We would be able to protect ourselves. But now, the people like the one from Denmark do have energy and feel that they have a right to go and do whatever they do in Africa because there is a vacuum. There is a vacuum created by this called universalism, which for me doesn't represent who we are, and it won't work, and I don't approve it.
Okay, so let me go ahead and read off a few more.
He's so adamant.
Chief Drinos also said, I've heard horror
It's just
stories of
wrong.
men going to
Thanks for
find
joining
wives
the
in Thailand
stream,
and the Philippines,
Quadra,
which
okay.
does happen
Yeah,
all the
his
time.
mentality is really wrong.
Chief Drino also says these issues are very common throughout the world where poverty is prevalent. Eliminating poverty in Africa would solve most problems of Africa. He's from Africa, by the way, so he's the gentleman from Ghana, living in Australia right now. We have Jim Denson. He says many rulers is our way, but all kings must answer to one pharaoh. So I guess head of the African Union. Chief John also goes to say that, and this is his opinion, that Pan-Africanism is the future of Africa. He also goes on to say tribalism will disappear when all Africans recognize that we are one big family. And when that was about the time when you said Pan-Africanism is not going to work, and
well, Pan-Africanism would have worked, and it can still work if it wasn't built on wrong deception. If it wasn't built on deception, Pan-Africanism is built on deception.
Okay, so you all heard him. Okay, Pan-Africanism was built on deception. This is so laughable, right? This is so laughable, all right? Pan-Africanism was built on deception. How can somebody like this make this claim? How? How can an educated person say something like this? Boy.
Mechanism is built on greed. Pan-Africanism means that I need to lose what I have for other Africans to live. If that's what it means, then we would not embrace Pan-Africanism, we will fight it, and I will spend my time doing that. If Pan-Africanism means that I have to lose what belongs to me, or what identifies me. But unfortunately, many people presenting Pan-Africanism, they don't tell you that the people committing atrocities against Africans are indeed Pan-Africanists, and they identify themselves as Pan-Africanists.
What on earth? What on earth is this man saying? What on earth is this man saying? Pan-Africanists are Pan-Africanists are the most evil, vile people of Africa. This is what this man is saying. Wow. Wow. Boy.
People like Museveni of Uganda is a Pan-Africanist. People like Gaddafi of Libya was a Pan-Africanist. But despite of what he did, I mean, he did some good stuff, but he also committed a lot of atrocities against his own people. That's why people were angry with him. That's why people look at Rwanda. Kagame presents himself as a Pan-Africanist, but Africans cannot even take photos. You cannot pull up a phone and take photos in Kigali. But whites are taking photos everywhere and nobody questions this. And I tell you this because I've been traveling through Rwanda and Burundi over and over and over. And I know I've been questioned on the borders simply for taking photos. Why? Why would I be questioned for taking a photo if Pan-Africans that they preach do work? So to me, it's all about deception and it's all about greed. And it won't work if that's what it is. We will try as much as we can to fight it.
Okay. Also, I wanted to bring up something. There's a gentleman here in Portland. He's from Ghana. He's in his mid-60s, but he does like field work for companies that hires him. And I ran into him after not seeing him for a couple of years, like sometime like probably in February. And so we're catching up, and he told me that he recently went to Kenya, like I think last year in December.
Mm-hmm.
And he also went to Rwanda, and he was doing some surveys. And he was saying basically the way Kigali is set up is like everything you see on TV are the main roads to the city center and the convention center and things like that look good. And he said basically you go off to the sides, like down the hills and stuff from that main city center, which is on the hill, that is where all the poor people live, and that's what you're not seeing. But that's what he reports.
You cannot see that, and I agree with him. You cannot see that, and that's why people cannot answer the problem. The question, why do we have so much Rwandese as refugees when Rwanda is being described as a Singapore for Africa? This means if Rwanda was Singapore for Africa, Rwandese would be able to stay in their own country. They wouldn't be roaming all over Africa, causing problems and wanting to fight. We cannot end the war in DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, because Rwandese are trying to pick up guns and create another country within that province called the Kivu, around Uvira. So we can.
So what you are describing is tribalism. What this man is describing is the problems that tribalism creates. And so when Africans see themselves past tribalistic ideologies, see themselves as, say, family first, love your family, husband and wife and children, first. The next thing you should look at is African. And it's plain and simple. Like Australians see themselves, say, family first, but then collectively Australian. There are no tribes in Australia. No tribes. So it's just family, and the only thing greater than family is nationalism. It's nationalism. There are no tribes. No tribes at all. So Victoria State cannot pick up guns and go fight New South Wales. Cannot pick up guns and go fight Queensland. It will never exist. It will never exist. Okay, I said California will not pick up guns or Texas will not pick up guns and fight Arizona. It doesn't happen.
And also, if Rwanda was functioning as they present it, which is built on the deceptive Pan-Africanist agenda, because the leader there is a Pan-Africanist, we wouldn't be having Rwandese problem. Now Rwandese are becoming problem everywhere because they have guns. That's why Tanzania is now chasing them away. If Tanzania was built on a Pan-Africanist ideology, why would it evict Burundians and Rwandese who have lived in Tanzania for 20 or even 50 years? You understand what I'm saying? It's because the idea of Pan-Africanism, those presenting it and promoting it intentionally know that they built it on deception and they know it cannot work, but most importantly, they know that it favors their greed. Pan-Africans favor their greed. That's why they want to push it on everybody. And we would disagree as long as we still live. We would fight it and we would not allow it to take over what belongs to us.
Okay.
So this man is slanderous, okay? It's so outrageous. His claims are so outrageous. Boy, he has a very, very misconceived notion of Pan-Africanism. He doesn't know what Pan-Africanism really means. Well, maybe he does, but because he's so tribalistic, okay, he doesn't see past being tribalistic. He doesn't see any benefit for being Pan-Africanist. He sees Pan-Africanists as the most evil people of Africa. Most evil people of the world. All the problems in Africa is due to Pan-Africanists. Wow. Oh, Gaddafi was a Pan-Africanist. That's why the problems existed in his country. He doesn't know that the problem, like Libya would not be what it is if it wasn't for European influence, if it wasn't for America's influence, okay? Egypt wanted to take a loan. Egypt wanted to take a loan to build a dam. America wanted to give them the loan, then it changed their mind, their swan dam, okay? America wanted to build, Egypt wanted a loan to build our dam. Okay, America wanted to give them the loan and it changed their mind. They wanted to give them America was giving certain conditions like, oh, maybe we want to use your airport or we want to use your airspace, blah, 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 blah. Because America always wants to establish itself in the Middle East. Okay, Northeast Africa, which is North Africa, East Africa, Middle East, because Palestine is part of the African Union, by the way. Israel wants to join the African Union. Okay, at one time, Saudi Arabia was part of Africa. Saudi Arabia was part of Africa. Okay, all this is going to happen. Saudi Arabia is going to come back and join Africa in the future. You just watch it. They're all going to come join because Africa is where it is at. Okay, Africa is the future of the world. Just wait and see. All these people will not want to be part of Africa. You will see it. And it's going to happen in our lifetime. We are going to see it. You know. So, you know, I digress. I'll just go straight to this guy's video.
Okay, so I got an idea, Mpagi.
Yes.
Chief Drino says here that you're misinformed, like Dr. Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela, Julius Malema, all Pan-Africans. I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask him, not today, but maybe in the future, we all get on a panel and kind of debate this, like, because he's more into Pan-Africanism, and you're definitely against it. But you said it can work if it's not built on deception, right?
And you see, I'm saying here what he is saying that Julius Malema is even a Pan-Africanist. My friend, I've visited South Africa 3 times. I know South Africa. I've been to Western Cape. I've traveled all over Western Cape province. I know how the African Union Congress is fetching people from all over South Africa and feed it feed it over in Western Cape so that they can win the votes. But, my friend, I would like to have a conversation with you too. I'm not misinformed. I've traveled across Africa. I've traveled in 20 African countries, by the way, if I want to tell you that. So 20 African countries, and everywhere I go, I look at the society and how society functions. So I am not misinformed. I know what I'm talking about. I don't read the news. If I want to see what's happening, I go there and I see the problem with my own eyes. If you think that Julius Malema is a Pan-Africanist and wishes well the people, and if you think that Nelson Mandela, who was made a god by the whites, did something great as a Pan-Africanist, then you are the one who is not informed about the current status of the people, of the black people in South Africa. And even Julius Malema's way of thinking cannot solve the problem and cannot set the South African future on the right track. Because Julius Malema, his ideology is actually built in greed. And Julius Malema actually has benefited from the African National Congress greed. And that's why he's a populist. He cannot even solve a single problem. I must tell you that. I've been to South Africa 3 times. I've traveled over time within South Africa. I've interacted.
So Julius Malema cannot solve any problem in South Africa. For those of you who've been following the news in South Africa, okay, the latest news in South Africa is about land appropriation, okay, the redistribution of wealth in South Africa. It's due to Julius Malema's pressure on the government, okay. He doesn't know about the EFF, okay. The EFF is in Ghana as well. The EFF is throughout Africa. It's embedded in Pan-Africanism, okay. It's embedded in Pan-Africanism. Julius Malema wants to expropriate land, okay, from South African, white South Africans, okay, and redistribute it to native Africans, okay, without compensation. Okay, this is Julius Malema's idea, okay. This is what he's promoting, and he has a political movement for this. Okay, he's put pressure on the current government, okay. And this man he's spewing rhetoric. I've not been to South Africa, but I know this. And he's been to South Africa 30 times. And he doesn't know this. He doesn't know this. We going.
With the colors, I've done with the whites, and I've done with black people in South Africa. So I know, I was there during the campaigns, and I know what I'm talking about. So my friend, I think I'm equipped and I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to send you his YouTube page. Chief Drino, his link is further up in the chat. It's also in the description box. If you please sub to him, you guys can exchange and maybe even have your own hangouts, do your own.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We can have these conversations. I'm very open to these conversations.
Okay, or I can host the hangout, and if you guys want to bring more people on, I'll just sit back and just host it. So just let me know, both of you guys. I think there's a lot to talk about between the both of you and maybe some other people. I would think this would be encouraging to get these ideas out, get information out, because especially with South Africa that you bring it up, even I was speaking to this with Chief Drino, there's a lot of misinformation that we hear about in South Africa. And you already know, because me and you have already talked about the Portland African Film Festival that you've been, I've been to it. I don't remember if I told you, but there was this one gentleman who was a preacher who's from South Africa, him and his wife. They're not white, but he's a preacher in Vancouver, Washington. And he told me a lot of stuff that you just don't hear in the news when I was asking him questions about South Africa, because it's a very difficult story to decipher because of the news. Now, if I can go there, this next year, which is coming up in February, and get a hold of him, I would love to get him on a panel or at least an interview, so he himself, what he told me, would have more concrete validity instead of me trying to reiterate some of the things. I don't remember all the questions I asked him, but I think it'd be better for him and maybe you and maybe Chief Rhino to all get on a panel.
Well, what I can tell you, anybody who thinks that Pan-Africanism fronted by radical Julius Malema, or somebody who thinks that indeed Nelson Mandela was a Pan-Africanist, I think they need to re-examine the way they make decisions. So, Chief Rhino, I understand you. Many people who haven't been to South Africa or who haven't been paying much attention to the future of Africa, they are excited. They have this Pan-Africanism hysteria. You know, it's a hysteria that's sweeping them off their feet, and they are excited about it. But people who is like me, who study and take time to analyze the future of Africa and other societies, including the U.S. society where I live now, I'm telling you, the future of Africa doesn't belong to Pan-Africanism, doesn't belong to African Union. I mean, African Union is built on Pan-Africanism ideology, but see how they've sold Africa now to China. See, it's clear in the
Pan-Africanism has sold Africa to China. And this man lives in the United States of America. See, African Americans, these are the Africans you need to give hell to in America. You need to give them hell. Kick them out. All these Africans, okay, who have no real agenda for Pan-Africanism, kick them out because they do not belong in the United States. Okay, real black power goes back to Africa to build Africa. Okay, my grandfather did that. My grandfather left the United States of America to go to Ghana and build Ghana. Okay, all right. He has so much wealth. Okay, which I have just inherited because of my grandfather. Okay, I've inherited so much wealth in Ghana in terms of land. Okay, which I intend to go develop in the near future. In the near future, I intend to go develop that land, build in businesses, okay, to employ people, not just in Ghana alone, okay. I'm gonna all throughout Africa, wherever I can go with this one African passport, okay. I'm gonna make sure that I establish businesses all over Africa, okay. This is what a true African would do. Not just think about his family. It's all about nationalism. It's this man is he behooves me. This man behooves me. Boy. So Pan-African is sold Africa. Yeah, definitely. You need to kick this man out. Please do me a favor. All African Americans, you need to give these Africans hell. Give them hell. Kick them out. Any African, all you got to do is ask him, what does he think about Africa? What does he think about Pan-Africanism? Okay, this is the major question. Okay, you African. Okay, what do you think of Pan-Africanism? And why are you in America? What's your reason of being in the United States of America? This is my country. Okay, you are an immigrant. What are you doing here? Okay, if they don't give you any tangible reason of their being in America, which is they come in to gain employment and going back home to help their family and their country and their nation, to help Africa unite, to bring Africa out of poverty. Okay. If they don't give you this kind of explanations, kick them out. Give them hell. Give them hell. Because these people are so comfortable where they live. Okay. They're so comfortable. You cannot, as an immigrant, you cannot be comfortable in your host country. You cannot be and neglect your home. It's so absurd. It's so absurd. So, Brother Russ, he lives in the United States. He lives in the US. Okay, I'm not sure which state he lives in, but you can go to him. You can find him on YouTube and talk to him. Okay, Omutifu Mpagi. Okay. The link is in the description box to his channel. You can go to him, okay? Give him hell. Pose these questions to him. Why are you living, if you're so tribalistic, why don't you go back to Uganda? Why don't you build your tribe up? Why are you in the United States? What are you doing in the United States? Okay, it's the same people that come to United States and spew rhetoric and talk a lot of hatred towards African Americans. Okay, and this is unacceptable. People like these do not represent the core values of educated Africans. Okay, they do not represent Kwame Nkrumah's ideas. Okay, Kwame Nkrumah wasn't a selfish man. Okay, this man died poor. All right, he sacrificed everything for his country and for Africa. Okay, he sacrificed everything for his country and for Africa. One of the reasons why an assassination attempt was made on Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, okay, this is what took him out of office. Okay, they wanted to kill him, okay, because they were blaming him for taking Ghana's resources, okay, to go liberate the entire continent of Africa. Kwame Nkrumah was spending Africa's Ghana's resources, okay, to liberate other countries from the colonial powers. Okay, Kwame Nkrumah had an Egyptian wife. Okay, this is how deep it is for Kwame Nkrumah in Pan-Africanism. Okay, his wife was Egyptian, knowing that if he marries someone from, okay, one thing that this man also spoke about was marriage. Okay, marriage unites people. An African understands this very well. So two warring tribes can marry, and this will bring peace amongst these tribes. Okay, so Kwame Nkrumah understands this. It's an entire continental thing. Okay, an awareness in the entire of Africa. Okay, we understand that marriage is the bondage between two families. Okay, so Kwame Nkrumah understands that. That's why he married an Egyptian, knowing that he can have a close bond between Ghana and Egypt. But this man knows this, but then he goes off in a tangent and says something different. Okay, and it's all based on his selfish personal gain and ideologies.
Grass. What don't you see? Chinese are destroying the African environment, taking away every job. Now they are being recruited in Zambian police. Chinese, right? So those are all Pan-Africanists at African Union.
So this man is saying exact things, okay, that you African Americans need to say to people like these. Okay, people like these Africans in the United States, okay, you need to give them hell. You need to say these words back to them. They are the problems. People like these are taking your jobs in America, okay? People like these, when I hear this kind of rhetoric from African Americans, I cringe, okay? Because there are Africans like these that say the same things to African Americans. And it's so appalling. It's so appalling. Okay, and I made a statement before that these kind of vitriol exist among the least educated, okay, the most naive, okay, and the most ignorant on both sides of the Atlantic. And it's evidently so. Evidently, this is what it is.
And they are destroying Africa. If that's Pan-Africanism you want to preach to me.
So Pan-African is brought in the Chinese. Pan-African is brought in the Chinese to destroy the African environment. This is what this man is saying. Pan-Africanists did that. Not individual government. When you look at it, okay, China is dealing with individual governments, individual countries in Africa. If Africa was united, China did not go to the AU to do this. China is going to individual countries. Okay, if Africa was united as one African country, okay, China is not going to go to individual countries to allocate to do the business. They're going to go to one centralized government, like in the United States. If China wants to do business, okay, with the United States, China does not go to the governor of California and do business. The Chinese government, Jinping, okay? Jinping goes to see bloody orange man, okay, Donald Trump, goes to see him to discuss business. It does not go to talk to bloody the governor of California or the governor of or the mayor of New York or whatever. Okay, it does not do that because there's no centralized government. Okay, these people, you are divided and you are being conquered. I don't know why this guy can't see it. This guy can't see the divide and conquered strategy. Okay, that it's so prevalent. It's so obvious because Africa is so divided. Okay, China can go in Africa and say, "Oh, look, Zambia, I can give you this. Senegal, I can give you this. Ghana, Kenya, I can give you this." Okay. Kenya owes a whopping $95 billion to China. Is in debt, $95 billion. This is outrageous. Okay, this is outrageous. And then this will not exist if there's one centralized government. It won't. So, boy, let's listen to this more. Let's listen to some more rhetoric.
I reject that. Africa belongs to its natives. Africa belongs to independent small governments working towards each other, towards creating a better, stronger Africa. Stronger Africa doesn't have to be a single government. Your definition of Pan-Africanism can only be described with what African Union is doing. Today, Africans are being sold in the Middle East on open markets. African Union, which is a concept of Pan-Africanism, what are they doing? What are they saying? You know?
Because the African Union, yeah, the man is full of crap, brother. Quadra, okay, Kudra. I can't pronounce your name, sorry. Kudra K, okay. He's full of crap. All right, he's full of crap. All right. The African Union does not have a standing army just yet because it's not a united country yet, okay. Once it becomes a country, okay, then it's gonna have a military, okay, to promote its agenda, okay. This is what it is. The United States Army, okay, exists because of the unity between all these states, the confederacy between all these states, okay. So this is going to happen with Africa as well. We're going to have one centralized government and one army, okay. So all these people, if see, the West knows this. When Africa unites into one global superpower, okay, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be so huge. Everyone's gonna bow. You know, and it is coming. Okay, it is coming. It is coming.
We've had a war in South Sudan. What was the role of Pan-Africanism? We are having problems in Uganda where people are being evicted on their land using foreign money. What does African Union say, which is built on Pan-Africanism agenda? So I know a lot about this stuff, my friend. Let's link up very soon. I don't know. It won't be possible until around December, around the Christmas time, because I have a second job that runs up to December 18th. So usually I'm working and overworking myself, but I'm open to discussions. I'm open to finding solutions with you. Perhaps if we have a chat, you would really know that your Pan-Africanism ideology is actually formed on wrong concept, and it cannot work until when, and you don't have to scroll much. You just need to look at Africa today and China. When you look at African Union, which has been here for over 50 years, do you know that? African Union has been...
I've read about it, yeah.
Yeah, has been around for over 50 years. But even we don't even have a single African airline. We don't have even a single African media house which tells our story.
So this man is so misinformed, okay? He's so misinformed. When Pan-Africanism or the OAU was birthed, right? Much of Africa was still colonized. Okay, the only independent countries in Africa, okay, at the birth of the OAU was Ghana and Ethiopia, because Ethiopia was never colonized. Okay, Ethiopia was never colonized, but the British tried to get a piece of it. The French tried to get a piece of it. The Italians tried to get a little piece of it, but entirely Ethiopia was not colonized. Okay, the only independent states in Africa at the time were Ghana, and Ethiopia. Egypt was sort of independent too, but it was still under the Ottoman. Okay, it was still under the Turkish Ottoman rule. So slowly, gradually, the Ottomans left, and then Egypt got full independence. Okay, from the British. Okay, so very complicated history there as well. So this man's perspective is really wrong. Okay, his ideologies are far-fetched. So
have to rely on BBC, on Al Jazeera. We cannot even build our own headquarters. The African headquarters in Addis Ababa are built by Chinese. That's why China is now taking over. The environment is being destroyed. People are becoming jobless. Chinese are employing their own Chinese. Indians are taking over Africa. China is taking over Africa, all on the watch and guard of African Union.
That's not true. That's not true. You can go on YouTube and type in a video like the Ghanaian government got, sent in the military, okay, to arrest illegal miners. Okay, China does not send illegal miners into Ghana or anywhere else. Okay, these are criminals. Okay, these are criminals that came in with the influx of Chinese. Okay, because they know gold is in Ghana, so they want to dig everywhere and find gold, and this is illegal. Okay, so these are crimes committed by these influx of Chinese people coming into Africa. But overall, okay, it's in the best interest of Africa. Modernization, is the way forward for Africa. Modernization will end tribalism. Okay, when everyone just leaves their villages and go to the cities to find work. Okay, they need to work with everybody else. This is what is going to promote, unification, and it's going to advance Africa to the future. So it is what it is, man. Unless you want to live your life as if you were back in the 1700s, okay, as primitive as possible, okay. Why don't you leave the United States and go to your village in Uganda, where you can have that kind of lifestyle? Don't come to the United States and enjoy all the benefits of the United States, okay? If life was so good being a tribesman, why don't you stay in Uganda and enjoy that? Why do you come to the United States? I seriously question this man's intelligence, really. He's so selfish, and his selfish attitude has clouded his mind, okay, of any good of Africans uniting. It's just selfish. How can you be so against the unification of Africans? Just because if it means that it's going to take away from what you have, okay, then you don't want it. You spend all your life, your resources to fight against Pan-Africanism. If it means that all of Africa will benefit. Okay, this is the mentality of these tribalistic African leaders. This is the mentality that they have. That's why nothing gets done. Nothing gets done.
I wanted to address two questions he had, Fred, and I don't think this is any diss towards you, but one question he asked twice, so I'm going to answer. I'm going to read off the second one, which is the same question. So he asked, so your solution is tribalism? That's one question. The second question is, you mean Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is a fraud? So no question mark after that, but that looks like a question to me. Could you please address those two?
Well, To know whether Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was a fraud, you just go back and look at Ghana today and ask yourself, did Kwame Nkrumah and what he did meant well for Ghana? Ask yourself.
So this question, okay, Kwame Nkrumah is so dear to my heart. Okay, he's one of the most inspirational leaders. Okay, to me. Okay, one, because he has a vision of Pan-Africanism was birthed by Marcus Garvey. Okay, no, it was conceived by Marcus Garvey. Okay, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah birthed it into life. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, when you talk about Pan-Africanism, okay, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah molded Pan-Africanism and brought it to life. Okay, he brought it to physical life. He breathed into it. He breathed into it. Okay, or breathed into it. He brought it to life. All right. So he's saying Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was a fraud. Look at Ghana right now. When you look at Ghana, the state of affairs in Ghana, okay, if it wasn't for Kwame Nkrumah, okay, Ghana would still be colonized. Like much of Africa would still be colonized to a later date. Look, South Africa got independence in 1994, which is nearly as old as I am. Okay, 1994. All right, it is really sad. 1994, that's when South Africa got independence. What, 28 years ago? So I mean, this is really appalling. So for this man to think that at the time of Nkrumah, when Nkrumah gained independence for the Gold Coast, okay, which later on became Ghana, okay, Kwame Nkrumah changed the name from Gold Coast to Ghana because Ghana in itself is a conglomerate of these people from the Ghana Empire, the Mali Empire, all these people coming together, okay. It's a place where all these people, when all these empires were destroyed, okay, these people came together they just moved south, okay. All these people were of different ethnicities, okay. Kwame Nkrumah united all these people together, okay. This is one thing Kwame Nkrumah did, okay. And the next thing, okay, Kwame Nkrumah did, okay, is to name it Ghana, okay. Okay, you can go on and look for the independence speech by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Okay, he said the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless the total liberation of Africa. Okay, this is what Nkrumah is saying. Thank you, brother Javin. Thank you for correcting me. All right, but yeah, thank you for correcting me. Okay. But I move on, okay. Kwame Nkrumah promoted economic prosperity of Ghana, okay. At the time of Nkrumah, okay, Ghana had its own airlines, okay. Ghana had its own shipping line. Ghana was the biggest producer of cocoa. Agriculture was big. Kwame Nkrumah, promoted agriculture. Kwame Nkrumah promoted agriculture, okay. Ghana's economy was as big as the United States, okay. Kwame Nkrumah was accused. This is why we say the CIA was heavily involved. Okay, Kwame Nkrumah was accused of being a communist because similarly, Kwame Nkrumah wanted loans from the United States, but he wouldn't get it. Okay, but Russia was reaching out to help. Communist Russia was reaching, or Soviet Union was reaching out to help. Okay, Cuba was a lot of Ghanaian doctors were training Cuba. Okay, they were training Cuba. Okay, United States didn't want to help. Okay, they promoted, they had that narrative that Kwame Nkrumah was a communist. So because America was so much against Russia at the time, it was during the 60s was the time of the Cold War, almost a nuclear war between the United States and Russia. Okay, so both countries were looking for allies at the time, okay, and resources in case a war comes, okay. These people were looking for resources, okay. So it's so, you can clearly see that it's so instrumental of the CIA, okay, to pinpoint Kwame Nkrumah as a communist, okay, and turn the people of Ghana against Kwame Nkrumah. And they did exactly that. So they did a coup d'etat against Kwame Nkrumah to kill Kwame Nkrumah, okay. And likely Kwame Nkrumah survived, but then he died out of the injuries he survived. He received during a coup d'etat. Okay, I think he was cyanide. Okay, they tried to poison him with cyanide. That's what they tried to do to Nkrumah. By the time of Nkrumah, okay, Ghana had its own shipping line. Okay, it's called the Black Star Line. Okay, you can look for this. Ghana had its own processing factories, cocoa processing factories, which is still present in Ghana today. Okay, and the current government of Ghana has not improved on that. The electricity company in Ghana, okay, it's called the Akosombo Dam, okay, was built by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Okay, and the Americans, okay, the only reason that dam was built by Kaiser, okay, Kaiser of America, okay, they built that dam, and the only reason they built that dam, okay, was an agreement that Kaiser will be allowed to extract the iron ore from Ghana. Okay, so the dam, okay, when you look at the dam, okay, the dam, it's about 80% of the power production of the dam is used in the extraction of iron ore and the smelting of iron. Okay, and the company was called Valco. I think it's still there. It was there when I left Ghana, but it must have closed down. But I think I read somewhere that it closed down. Okay, but this dam is still there. Akosombo Dam. This dam is 60 years old, over 60 years old, and this dam was built by Nkrumah. Okay, Nkrumah built so many roads, hospitals, universities. Okay, you can't rival what Nkrumah did. Nobody can rival what Nkrumah did. You see, nobody can rival what Nkrumah did, and you are here. This man is here spewing this rhetoric. Brother JPV, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream, okay? So I'm addressing your man, all right? Your man just, it's shocking, okay? It's shocking. It's so painful, that's it. It's really, really painful that this man is spewing so much rhetoric, okay? He's so misinformed, okay? He knows nothing about history, okay? He knows nothing about history. He hasn't read the AU's Agenda 2063, okay? Any of you, if you haven't read it, please go read it, okay? Go read it. Agenda 2063 of the United African Union. All right, so go read that, all right? And read the history of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, okay? So if it wasn't for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, much of Africa would still be colonized. Okay, it was through the Nkrumah's efforts, okay, to gain independence for Africa, okay? That sent a shockwave through the British Empire, okay? So this man is spewing so much rhetoric, and it's important that we point this out.
What are you seeing in Ghana? What went wrong in Ghana? And then you will know if Kwame Nkrumah was really a nationalist and really was well-intentioned to the people of Ghana. Two, you need to define what tribalism is. Perhaps I don't know what you mean, but if you mean that small independent countries do mean tribalism, if that's your definition of tribalism, yes, I do approve small, tiny governments. Because to me, those tiny governments represent peace, development, and they have well intentions for their own people. Instead of thinking that a foreigner from another African country would come and sort of problem. We are seeing them creating more problems and more problems wherever they go. Now we've lost land. We are losing land to foreigners who are given money by foreign governments. And if that's what it means to be a Pan-Africanist, that I must lose what belongs to me, that I must lose my identity, that I must lose my language, you very well know, Paul, you know that East African community is trying to force Swahili, on us, the Baganda people, Do you know that even Swahili is an official language spoken in Uganda by less than 2% of the people, but Luganda, my native language, which is spoken by almost 85% or 90% of the population is not even recognized as a national language. If that's what Pan-Africanism means, that I must lose my language, I must lose my identity, I must lose my land, I must lose my traditions, so to hell with Pan-Africanism, we will not embrace it, or as long as I live, I won't recognize it because I know what it represents.
So basic.
Oh, this was so hard to listen to. This was so hard to listen to. This man is so misinformed. Oh boy. Oh boy. He's so selfish. He's selfish as hell. He does not want to sacrifice anything for anybody. Okay. This is what it is. This is the problem of Africa. Nobody wants to sacrifice anything. Nobody wants to sacrifice anything for the benefit of other people. Nobody wants to do that. All right. Europeans will gladly do that. They can go send armies to Africa, okay? It doesn't even matter if they get killed. They will die to keep you enslaved. Okay. They will die to keep you enslaved. So the children have a better life and the children know that you are beneath them. Europeans will do that. And you African don't want to even do that for yourselves? Okay, Europe was able to advance because they put themselves first. Okay, they put themselves above everybody else. They unite. When it comes to one common purpose, okay, Europe was united in enslaving Africans. Europe was united in conquering. Okay, I'll put it in proper context. Okay, Europe was united in conquering the rest of the world. Yeah, they will come together to conquer you. All right, but then this man is so tribalistic. He's so indulged in his tribalistic ways. He bleeds tribalism. This guy bleeds tribalism. You know, it's a halo around him. Anyway. Mercy ships and Mercy Hospital is here, and it was what it is. So Mercy, I wonder where the Mercy Hospital comes from. You know. So I think it's American. Mercy Hospital is American, isn't it? So JPV said Kaiser is also a big medical hospital in the United States. So yeah, this is what Kaiser did, all right? So Sabrina Nix, Mercy Hospital. Please let me know where the origination of Mercy Hospital is, because I saw it in Ghana as well when I was a kid. You know, in primary school, went to visit the Mercy ship. It's a ship. One of my cousins even worked on the Mercy ship as part of her internship. Okay, she's a nurse from Australia, and she managed to get work with Mercy Mercy ship. Okay, so you know, the people like these. Okay, this man has a halo of tribalism around him. There's a halo of tribalism around this man that you can see it. He bleeds it. It just comes out of him. When you see him, when you hear him, he's so tribalistic. All right, he's so tribalistic.
Particularly with the language thing, I don't see that the way I'm looking at it.
And he sees that all Africans united to speak in one language, which is Swahili, which I support. Okay, because Swahili is spoken over 100, almost 200 million people in Africa speak Swahili. Okay, Hausa is also another family Afro-Asiatic language in West Africa, which stretches from, like, you know, Senegal to like, you know, the Horn of Africa, okay, or Sudan. Okay, over 200 million people speak Hausa. Okay, so Swahili and Hausa or Arabic. Okay, Arabic, you can argue about it. Okay, maybe because Arabic is indigenous to Africa, but because Arabians have separated themselves from Africa, so nobody wants to see this significance. But we can stick with indigenous African languages, and Swahili is an indigenous African language. Okay, Hausa is indigenous African language. Okay, so West Africans, yeah, Swahili is a beautiful language. Okay, and it's indigenous African language. Okay, the only word I know in Swahili is Kai, which means lovely, and Muzungu. Okay, and I'll dispel the myth here, right? The term white person does not exist in Africa. Okay, an African does not call a person white. Okay, whiteness is a color that is not related to the skin color of a person. All right, so in Ghana it's called Oboroni. Okay, Oboroni, which means European, or somebody that's odd, something that's odd. Watu wangu means my people. Watu wangu. That sounds beautiful. Swahili is a beautiful language. I'd love to learn it. Okay, I'd love to learn Swahili. All right. So in Swahili, okay, or Kiswahili, Muzungu means, people say Muzungu means one person, but it's Muzungu actually means, the history of the term Muzungu means a confused person, because there was a game that they were playing where someone spins around. So if the one that can spin around the longest without feeling dizzy, okay, wins the game. So when the European came, or the British came over and wanted to play the game, okay, the British didn't last long. He spun around a couple of times and he was so dizzy, okay. So they gave the name Muzungu, which means someone that is confused. Okay, so that's all that it means. Okay, it doesn't mean a white person. It just means a person. So it just came out from a person that was trying to play this game and spun around and then got confused or disoriented because it spun around. Okay, that's all that it means. It doesn't mean white person. There's no African word for a white person. Okay, it just means a foreigner. Okay, they have names like a foreigner or an odd looking person, or someone that's not native. So in Ghana alone, there's so many names to call white people. Okay, it's called Oboroni, which does not mean white. No, it does not mean white. It just means different. So Obro means, so you have like similar things, and then suddenly you have an abnormality. Okay, so that would be called, the abnormality would be called an Obro, or Obro, which means it's different. This is what it means. Okay, in the Ewe language, which is one of the oldest languages in the world, okay, the white man is called Yevu. Okay, then Yevu, you can break it down. Okay, is like lie or deception or to deceive, and Vu is like a dog. But when you put it together, okay, it all means, so a lying dog, which means it's a fox or a cunning or tricky. Okay, so these people, okay, this is where voodoo comes from, and these people know the history of the European, because the European was trying to push an agenda out there, okay, and push Christianity or whatnot. Okay, these people told the European that, no, you're a liar. Okay, we don't want it. That's why they enslaved these people. All right, so a lot of African Americans can trace their families to the kingdom of Dahomey, or the region that the kingdom of Dahomey was, where voodoo was prevalent. Okay, so this is between Ghana, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, and just the Gulf of Guinea. All right, so all these people, are one family. And this man doesn't know all these. This man, it's a shame. This man doesn't know these.
Okay, you may disagree, but the way I'm looking at it, as far as the language, like being one unified language, is not to take away the languages that are already there, but have one unified language that's from Africa, so that way anybody from any country is able to understand each other without having to adopt, a language from France or England as being the main language. I think that's a fair thing to have.
Fair.
Well, how is it not fair, though?
It's not fair because look what Kenya and Tanzania, which embraced Swahili, Swahili, which doesn't have any ancient roots in those countries, but they forced that language on people, and people lost their own languages. People lost their own identities, and they used Swahili as a tool to unite people, that it would bring up development, which sounds good. And
Okay.
it's not bad to have a language that unites
okay,
us together.
but that's
we're
what
seeing people losing what describes them. When Kenya embraced Swahili and watered down all the other languages, did that wipe away tribalism? Are
Well,
people being
okay.
treated fairly because they have a common language?
Swahili is one of two main languages. The two main languages in Kenya is English and Swahili. But my wife knows 6 languages. She speaks her own native language. She speaks the Kikuyu language because that's the second tribe that's mainly around her that she grew up with. And she picked up a couple other languages because of people in other parts of Kenya grew up in her town.
Then what's wrong with that? What's wrong with your wife speaking several languages?
There's nothing wrong with that, but there's no enforcement that's saying that you can't keep your own language.
Well, in Uganda, they've banned Luganda and native languages from schools, and they are forcing people and schools to teach Swahili, meaning that the whole idea of East African community is built on deception and hidden agenda, and we know what the hidden agenda is. And we must stand against that.
So the hidden agenda, according to this man, is Pan-Africanism. Okay, that's the hidden agenda, and he hates Pan-Africanism. He hates Pan-Africanism to the bone. Okay, he hates it to the bone. Okay, boy. So everyone speaking Swahili is a hidden agenda. How? How is this a hidden agenda? Isn't this what Julius Malema said? Africa needs to be united under one language, and Swahili seems to be the best prospect for that. Okay. So you rather speak English than speak Swahili?
Okay,
Those people running governments in Africa doesn't represent Africans. People preaching Pan-Africanism doesn't represent Africans. They represent Chinese, they represent Europeans, they represent Americans, they represent Indians. Africans as Africans, we are on our own. Yes.
Impagi,
Yes.
let me ask you this, and be quite frank with me.
Yes.
What language are you and I talking in right now?
We're talking in English.
To communicate and understand each other, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you learned the English language. I'm not sure how you learned it, but you learned it in order to communicate with me.
Yes.
English is about the only language I know. I know very little Swahili because I really haven't put forth effort in learning it as of yet. Now, so what I'm saying is that the two languages in Kenya that are not being forced as part of the curriculum is both English and Swahili is being taught. However, the tribal language of your tribe is not actually being said that you cannot speak that in school or within society, because people all do that there.
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is, if you make native languages to be the problem, and try to force people to speak a different language simply because you are lying that it will unite the people, that's a lie. That's a lie. For me, this is what I think about languages. People, I don't like Swahili. I don't speak it, But my brother speaks Swahili. No one taught him Swahili. For him, he thought that it's good to know the Swahili language, and he went and studied the Swahili for his own, you understand?
Right.
So that should be an open space. No government should.
This is a lie. You cannot learn anything if nobody teaches you. At some point, someone is going to have to teach you something for you to learn. So I have to head back to work. I'll come back to hear the rest of it. Thanks for joining the stream, brother JPV. Yeah, enjoy work. All right, enjoy work.
Force people to study any language. If people want to learn a language, they will learn it. Did the government of Kenya teach your wife to speak all these other languages? No. Your wife felt that she needed, right, to learn
Right.
his language. And she put in an effort to learn those languages on.
So this man is being silly right now. You learn English because the government promoted you to learn English. Now the government is saying do not learn English, learn Swahili, because Swahili is an African native language. Do not speak the colonizer's language, speak your own language. Speak your own language. And this man has a problem with this. He has a problem learning an African language that unites the whole of East Africa. Oh, boy.
No, her own. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. If I want to learn Swahili, let me learn it on my own terms. Let me find my way of learning it. Don't try to force me to learn it.
Okay, but let me ask you this. If you're a student in school, your parents pay for the school, and it's to go there to learn, one, academics, and two, to learn another language. Are you against learning another, before you answer that, are you against learning another language that would help benefit like your child to go to a different part of Uganda where they speak a different tribal language, but there's a language that both of you can speak because you both learned it in school and be able to understand each other? Do you support that
I support
perspective?
that, and I support that, and I'm not against that.
Okay, so
actually, I do have two daughters, if you don't know, and I've always said that I want my daughters to learn Spanish, and I want them to be able to speak French and be able to speak English and be able to speak my native language. But if my daughter has to learn Spanish, French, and English, while trying to suppress my native language, then I would object. You understand? So if my daughter is able to speak other languages with our language, then that's fine. That's good. But that's not what the agenda, that's not what the hidden agenda is all about. The hidden agenda is of Pan-Africanism and all those regional bodies you hear about, like East African communities. Their hidden agenda is to water down the traditions that define who we are.
So the agenda of the Pan-Africanism is to water down the traditions of indigenous Africans. Okay, this is what this man is saying. This is what this man is saying. Okay, that is a hidden agenda of the Organization of African Unity, or the African Union. Okay, the whole agenda is to water down being African. How is that? Okay. He still thinks that he's in the 1700. Okay, even in the 1700, you were a slave. You were a slave. You would still be colonized. Okay, if it wasn't the efforts of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, you would be colonized. Okay, you would still be colonized. Heck, what was this? Macau, Singapore didn't get independence until 1997. 1997. That's when was it Singapore? Hong Kong. Hong Kong get independence in 1997. Okay. Much of Africa would still be colonized if it wasn't for Nkrumah in 1960s. Okay, in 1950, 50, 60s, 57. Okay. Okay, if it wasn't for the efforts of the OAU, okay, much of Africa would still be colonized, and rightfully so. Okay, Africa is so open. Africa is still so open that anyone can go in and still colonize Africa. Africa is so open, so open, so easily, conquered, because they're still very, very divided. You can go in with a single army and conquer the entire continent of Africa. And Africa is still being enslaved. Africa is still being colonized economically. These days they're not going to put chains on you. They're not going to chain you up. They're just going to control your mind. Okay, and that's what they're doing. Basically, they control this man's mind. They've controlled his mind. So he's still being a slave, for the European. Someone like this and a collective of people like this man is what fuels the neo-colonialism of Africa. People like these, who believe that you can have small entities, small kingdoms, small powerful kingdoms. 2008, and you want to have a small powerful kingdom? Yeah, this man is so backward, completely backward. It behooves me, all right. And by no means, whatever I say is intelligent. All right.
In trying to pretend that we are all one and we must all be in unity and function as a single family, which is untrue, because these people preaching this kind of thing are already running government in Africa, and we know how they've ring-fenced economies to their own tribe. If Pan-Africanism was really indeed a good concept as they preach it, why don't the people running Africa today, why don't they practice it? Why don't other tribes in Uganda have economic freedom? Why don't they have job rights? Why do they have honorary jobs go to their own tribe? Why is it the same thing in Kenya, in Burundi? Why is it the same thing in Ghana? Even in Ghana, you would find that a whole concept of a bigger percentage of the jobs are going to one tribe. Why is it like that?
That's not true. That's not true. All right, that's not true. Okay, it's all due to tribalism. Okay, whatever you're mentioning, okay, you're embracing tribalism, but then you're mentioning the problems that are coming out of tribalism. Okay, it can't work that way. You can't eat your cake and still have it. Okay, you can't eat your cake and still have it. What is happening is greed and corruption. That's it. You can't have an 85-year-old president of Cameroon who's been president for over 40 years. You can't have that. Okay, it's greed. And all these people are so independent. They have their independent armies, and they are under the AU. They're allowed to manage their own affairs. Okay, their own individual affairs. Okay, they're allowed to do that. Whatever happens in the country has nothing to do with the AU. It has nothing to do with the AU. It's your individual government. Okay, they need to submit fully to the AU. Not until they're able to do that, the AU can't force them to do it. Okay, not until everyone in Africa, all the countries, individual countries in Africa, or the individual heads of states in Africa, unite under an oath. Okay, unless there's a standing army, United African Union Army. Okay, African Union Army. Unless there's that army, okay, the AU cannot enforce something like that.
And yet the people preaching Pan-Africanism are running these governments. That gives you a clear indication that the whole idea of Pan-Africanism and regional ideologies are built on a hidden agenda, are built on lies, and are trying to blindfold us. And it's through those lies that we have the virtues which are being used by foreigners, including people like is he called Black China? The one who's going Black China, the people like this guy from Denmark, people like so many other people are using the virtues created by the Pan-Africanists, to exploit and water down what defines Africa. This means...
Okay. Okay, I totally understand you. I totally understand you that.
Let me finish with this. In 100 years from now, you will have a continent of Africa with black people who are not Africans. So it takes much more to be African than just the color of your skin. That's what Pan-Africanism is all about. A future of black people with no traditions, the same way we see Americans. They have no traditions. They don't have anywhere, they have nothing in common that brings them together other than being American. That's
Uh-oh, shots fired. Shots fired. Shots fired to the Americans. All right.
That's why it's very easy for an American to pick up a gun and go to a school and shoot people, because that American who do that has no connection to the people whatsoever. Because Americanism is the same as Pan-Africanism.
Oh my God.
It's built
Americanism is the same as Pan-Africanism. What? What? What?
on lies, because Americanism is the same as Pan-Africanism. It's built on lies. It waters down identity, and they make you to believe you are American. You are American. But when you look to America, and when you've been living here for some good time, you really know that Americanism and American dream is really a deceit.
So I want to kind of like, we kind of like got off the subject of,
Yeah.
But this man lives in the United States. So why the bloody hell is this man in the United States? This is my question. Why do you Americans allow people like these to migrate into your countries? Into your country? Why do people like these? Okay. They want to come enjoy the benefits of the West, but they don't want to take anything back home. They don't want to. They want Africa to remain poor, to remain as it is, to be so tribalistic. That's what they want. But they want to go live in the West. They want to go do everything in the United States. Okay, so exactly what Putin is saying. Okay, when an African man gets money, okay, he invests in the West. He's educated in the West. He prays in Rome or Mecca. Okay. Whilst his people are so poor, but then when he dies, he expects to be buried in Africa. He expect, and I stated this in my previous video. Anyone who thinks like this, okay, does not deserve to be buried. Okay, your body needs to be torched. Okay, and your ashes need to be thrown in the air. Okay, and the wind can carry it wherever it wants. Okay, so you don't deserve to be buried in Mother Nature. You don't deserve to be buried in Africa.
you know, African realities versus Western narratives with this. And I guess you could say this might have some Western narrative brought into it, but I really wanted to stay focused on this. I'm kind of glad we did go here because it led off to something else. Chief Trino has definitely been engaged in the chat. So I definitely, like I said, I hope both of you guys can get together and maybe even a third or fourth party get in and really connect and try to find out what the differences are, because he's saying that Pan-Africanists did no wrong, and you said it could work, you know, due to certain things, you know, if certain things weren't involved. I would really like you guys to get together. We don't need to, like, you know, be mad at each other by the things that we say or anything like that. I hope we can find some common ground.
No, I'm not mad about him.
No. Oh, no. I know, you know, I just said I don't want, you know, us to be mad at each other. You know, we can find some common ground. But here's the thing. Do you have anything more to say with this character, Christopher Thomas, not Duke Thomas, as well as this guy from Denmark? Do you have anything else to add to what we've already gone over between the both of them?
Well, I don't have, I mean, these are foreign factors, you know, foreign factors that found themselves in Africa. Whether you go to Africa for marriage or whether you go to Africa for business or for non-government organization, as one tries to. The idea is, why? Why do these people, why would I want to go and marry in Africa? That's the number one question. Why would I want to go and do non-government or charity in Africa? Why would I want to go to Africa? I think that question needs to be examined. I'm not saying that people shouldn't go to Africa, but I'm saying if going to Africa, whether for marriage or for charity or for business, is built on the virtue created on the virtue seen in Africa, I think that loophole should be closed. We need genuine friends who are willing to walk an extra mile to know that Africans are still human beings. We know that there is a lot of anti-people agenda and propaganda in Western countries. So we don't want that. We still regard ourselves, despite of our differences, as human beings. And we also think we can still function and protect ourselves from anti-human, anti-people agenda, which is being indirectly promoted by all these other stuff. So to me, I feel that we are not objecting on who should marry who, or who should go to Africa and find a wife, or who should go and find a husband. We are not objecting who should come, but we should clearly protect ourselves against the hidden agendas that are usually not seen in the first place. I mean, it takes a lot of time to understand what was really the real motive about the person heading to Africa. So to me, we must keep an open eye and examine every single message and examine every single person that wants to come to Africa and help us. We really need to start stepping up if African identity is to be protected and defended. But if African identity doesn't matter anymore, then let everybody flood Africa. But as long as we still think that African identity still matter and should be protected, we should now have time to examine why are we having wrong characters coming to our continent. So to me, that's what I have to say.
Okay, I agree with.
So this man, African identity, the African identity is the AU. Okay, if you say African identity, you are talking about a united, Africa. Okay, it's not your tribe that represents in the entire Africa. It's the collectiveness of every tribe in Africa. Okay, forming one nation, becoming the Union of Africa. Okay, this is what the AU means. This is what Pan-Africanism means. So I don't see what this man really understands by that term Pan-Africanism, saying that it is fraud. How is this fraud? You can't say you want to have an African identity and then denounce the African Union and reject the African Union. You can't have that.
That quite abundantly. The same question could be asked about me: is why did I go to Africa just to marry a woman from Africa? And I definitely have my reasons. But even I asked that same question, not of me, but of other people who have, ulterior motives as to why they're doing it. So yeah, that question should actually, there should be actual a panel about that. I think.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, not just an interview, but a panel of people speaking about that, because there's too much sex tourism going on all over the world. There's a lot of corruption going on all over the world, and it's not just with governments. We're talking on the small grassroots level of people, just taking a cab, corrupting, cab drivers, cab drivers corrupting their clients, to those levels. Why are you going to these other countries? Are you going there to buy up, 30, 40, 50, 100 acres of land? Why are you buying the land? Are you really there to benefit the locals with some type of local economy scheme? Or are you there to take advantage and just, make a lot of money and don't help the locals at all gain any revenue from it? So yeah, you definitely have a valid point as to why people are going to Africa, or any place for that matter.
Yeah.
The question should be, brought up, and it would be great if people like myself, not just me, but like myself, other people participate and say, "Why did you do this?"
Yeah, I agree.
I think that would be very insightful. I think that would be a great show, and maybe it needs something. It need a hangout to take place for probably 4 to 5 hours to really dig in on some questions that people have and try to get some answers. Because, like I said, I know why I went. I have my reasons, but I've heard a lot of different reasons from other people.
And I'm not against that. I'm not against you going and marrying to.
I know you're not, but I am against a lot of people that are doing that, and for the simple fact, like I even told Chief Drino in an email today. I'm not going to go through so much detail, but I said, when I got married and the things that I learned in a very short period of time about over there is that I did not really want to talk about Africa, not as, to be ashamed of Africa and what I've married into, what I've learned, how I was treated, right? No, I wanted to protect Africans from Americans and other Westerners because of what they might run into. Do you know what I mean? And you really, there's no real control mechanism for that. First of all, one thing you can't control, because it also has to do with the GDP of any nation, is tourism.
Yeah.
But within tourism, you have a lot of people that just go there. They just want to have a good time. They want to soak in the sun. They want to be there for 1 or 2 weeks. They want to see the animals. But then you got a certain demographic of people, both men and women, who go there for sex tourism as well as drug tourism.
I agree.
Okay, drugs is a big problem. A lot of people don't want to talk about that, right? But it's there. All right?
Yeah.
So it's not just sex tourism, it's drug tourism. And women are most definitely involved in these other countries going to Africa and exploiting drugs to people.
Yeah.
I brought this up at the African Film Festival a few years ago, and there's some people there that didn't want to bow their heads who belong to some NGOs here in the States that went over there. And for some reason, the things I was bringing up, it hit home with them. And so I seemed to embarrass some people that didn't even know me. So when I was talking about drugs. Now, yeah, I totally agree with you. There should be a panel about that, but we'd have to find some volunteers that would be willing to tell us why did they go. And if it was for sex tourism, hey, I even want to speak to somebody about that. Why are you going there for that? Did you meet your wife through that? Okay, was it a benefit for you to get her out of that? But why did you go there in the first place to do that? I would like to know. It's hard to ask people like that if you don't like them because of what they're doing. It's hard to ask them the questions, but I would still like to know, why are they going there and doing that?
But like I tell you, I've been to United Arab Emirates, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
United Arab Emirates do welcome visitors, People
Right.
go there to work, people go there to tour. But United Arab Emirates and all these other Gulf states are still able to protect themselves from much of this trash. And tourists do go to these countries and clearly know that if you are caught having unacceptable behavior, you are in trouble. Why isn't it the same when it comes to Africa? Why isn't people who travel to Africa go there with something in mind that if I disrespect Africans, if I misbehave in Africa, I would be in trouble? Why don't we have people asking that question? It's
because this happens because there's no centralized government. Okay, everyone is so tribalistic. Okay, this man's video, okay, or this man's interview started off with an African American going to Uganda, a village in Uganda, okay, claiming that he's a prince in the United States of America, okay, and then basically just told a lie that he's a prince in the United States of America, and then he got to marry the princess of Uganda. I mean, one of their tribes. Okay, it's ridiculous. All right, it's so funny. This guy lied that he's a prince. Okay, and he went to marry the princess of this village, and then divorced her, and then just used her. Basically, he just used her and took advantage of this woman. All right, and now he's as bad as it sounds, okay, he just took off. You know, he just took off back to the United States. Okay, this happened. All right, this happened because you're tribalistic. You are tribalistic. Okay, everything is so tribalistic because there's no centralized government. It's so tribalistic. Okay, you want to deal with this. This thing cannot happen in the United States of America because they will drag you down. You will be dragged to the bottom of the ocean if you did something like this in the United States. Okay, because it goes to a higher authority. It goes to a massive authority. Okay, that is bigger than your tribe. Bigger than your tribe. It's as simple as that. You know, everything happens. The highest form of authority is at the tribal level when it comes to Africa. The highest form of authority is at the tribal level. That's it. Okay. The national level doesn't matter. Okay. It's not effective enough. Okay. Tribalism rules Africa. Tribalism rules Africa. Even amongst people that embrace Christianity and you ask this man right now, he would probably tell you he's a Christian. You ask him right now, he would probably tell you he boldly tell you he's a Christian. Okay, but he will put aside Christian values. Okay, and pushes tribe first. He would do that. You know. A Muslim, an African Muslim will put away Islam, okay, and push his tribe first. And tribalism means a big deal to these people. You know, he's talking about Saudi Arabia, okay. He doesn't know that Saudi Arabia has a governing principle based on religion, which is Islam, okay. Islam is paramount, is first before everything, okay. Islam comes first. Okay, these things, foreigners cannot go and misbehave in Saudi Arabia because you'll get your hands chopped off because of Sharia law. It's a law that governs the state. The government governs the entire country. Sharia is what governs the entire country. You can't go mess up. You'll go missing. All right, but people know that, you know, because Africans are so tribalistic, okay. Oh, I'll get away with this. I can go to Africa and do whatever I want because I have no higher authority to answer to other than some dusty old looking tribes person. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is. You create a frenzy, a feeding ground for vile people to come in and invade you, okay, and give you pigs and violate your women and pay you with pigs.
Because the people running Africa have made it like that. And that's why we need to examine. So in this case, we cannot blame.
The people running Africa didn't make it like that. It's the tribes, because the tribal people. Okay, everyone is trying to impress their tribe. There's no nationalism. Okay, it's all tribalistic. It's all tribalistic. When an African person has a position of power, okay, it's all about his tribe. It's all about his family, okay. And now it's still, you know, emanating from the Putin's quote, okay. It's not certain that Putin quoted it. Like I said before, okay, I've searched high and low if Putin's made that claim. But I didn't see any valid sources other than the sources coming from Africa, okay. I haven't seen CNN report on it. I haven't seen Al Jazeera report on it. I haven't seen any CNN or, you know, BBC. What not? Even news outlets in Australia, okay. Even Reuters or you know, anybody else other than Africa. When you look at it, it's all African news outlets. They are reporting on these. So.
People who travel to Africa for various reasons. And I mean, that's the way they are, you know. So it's the mandate of the African leadership to create guidelines that if you are coming to visit us, if you are coming to enjoy your time in Africa, this is what we are. These are the rules you must follow. So to me, I don't necessarily blame
Your tribal rules? Who's gonna respect your tribal rules? In 2018, you think people want to respect your tribal rules? This man is ridiculous. Your tribal rules. Your tribal rules. You want people to believe, you want people to respect your tribal rules? Like, this man is literally begging. He's begging that foreigners should come and respect Africans, okay, based on their tribal affiliations, whatnot. You should come. So everywhere they go, they have to learn the customs of every single tribe. This is so outrageous. So outrageous. So everywhere I go in Africa, I have to learn every tribe. That's why they don't respect you. There's no centralized government in Africa. Effective centralized government. Okay. And this is the agenda of the African Union, okay, to have one centralized government united under the African Union, okay. So you go and mess up in Africa, you get judged. You get judged by the AU, okay. The court system of the AU will judge you. So this will go beyond tribes. This will go to a very high authority, and this is the agenda of the AU, okay, to reinforce, proper way of life in Africa, okay, to bring all these corrupt governments, in check, in line.
people who go there. My blame is entirely on African leadership. In this case, the leadership which doesn't actually represent Africans. You know what I mean? They don't represent us. So to me, our energy, or my energy, should be directed to those in power in African governments and those who are willing to come to power in Africa.
I would like to let this be known.
By the way, family, this is nearly done. I think 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes.
I'm sure you know Uganda has a business called Java House.
Yes, I know Java House.
And Java House was first started in Nairobi.
Yes.
And it was started by an American, a white guy, an American. Came in, it's kind of like...
what happened there? I lost the video.
For people who don't know, it's kind of like the Starbucks of East Africa right now.
Yes. Yeah.
So basically what this guy did is he was caught in Kenya for having sex with very young teenage girls and maybe even younger.
Yeah.
He did try to bribe certain people. He bribed the wrong people. And so he's in a Kenyan prison, has been there for quite a few years now. He no longer owns the Java House.
Yeah.
And he was not sent back to America. He's doing time in Kenya.
He's in prison?
He's in prison. Just like everybody else, he had to hop in the back of a truck, like in Kenya. It's not like you get here, okay, the door is open by the police officer, go sit easy in the back, right? No, you know how it is in Uganda. You got to hop in the back of a truck a lot of times.
Yes.
Okay, we got to see him do that from the courthouse.
Yes.
Okay, so not every single person can be corrupted. It's just that corruption is a big problem. We have the laws already in our countries, in Africa. We just need to enforce them, and we need to bring people who are willing to accept bribes to justice, because they are the ones who are mainly responsible for these people getting away with what they're doing.
Yeah, so that's what I'm highlighting, that I mean, if you buy a ticket to go to UAE, you know where you are going, and you know clearly how you must behave.
Right.
Yeah? That should be the way to Africa. African leadership must create and make it clear that the visitors we receive, the people who call themselves our friends, live by our rules and respect who we are. Until when we do that, we will continue having people who want us who give us pigs and want us to change our names into their names. So to me, the entire game is in the hands of those Africans in power.
So he's referring to this guy from Denmark. Okay, he donated 50 pigs or whatnot to this village in Uganda. He donated 50 pigs. Okay, and in return for the 50 pigs, okay, he wanted the whole town changed into his name. So you think this will happen under a powerful small country, a small tribe? This will never happen. This will never happen in the United States of America. You can't, before anything of that sort happens, okay, it has to go through the Supreme Court. Okay, it has to go through the Supreme Court. Like you can't just go change the name of a town into your personal name. Okay, it's lack of disrespect. Nobody respect tribes. It's so backward. Nobody respect tribes. Okay, and this man wants to maintain tribalism in Africa. Okay, he wants to maintain tribalism in Africa. Nobody respects tribes these days. You know, the whole world is changing. Soon to be 2019. Okay, on the 24th or the 23rd of November 2018. This is what this man is saying. Okay, and this man lives in the United States of America. Okay, this is so. I wonder what he is learning in the USA. I wonder what impact can this man take back to Uganda? What can he take back to Uganda to help his people? How can this particular man, go back to Uganda and build a bank, or build a hospital to benefit the whole country? How can this man, somebody like this, go back to Uganda to build Uganda? How can he do that when he has these sort of ideologies? Backward thinking. You know, backward thinking. And I asked him a question before. Do you think that tribalism is the future of Africa? He boldly said yes. He said tribalism is the future of Africa. In 2018, almost 2019, he says tribalism is the future of Africa. Boy.
And those willing to take the power in future. So that's it. I don't know if you still have anything to cover with me.
No, I was pretty much going to wrap it up there. Chief Drino stepped out about 15 minutes ago. So again, hopefully I'll send him his channel to you. And,
okay.
Hopefully you two can connect and do your own thing. That'd be great.
Right.
What I would like to do is, as soon as I stop the broadcast here, I would like to talk to you just for a little bit.
Okay, no problem.
So if you could stay on, that'd be great.
Yeah, okay.
So I'd like to thank everybody who participated in being here. I really appreciate it. And so stay tuned for episode 3 of African Realities versus Western Narratives. I don't have like a set schedule for this, but when I do have episode 3 coming up, I'll let everybody know. Thank you very much. JPV out.
All right, family. So that was JPV. Please go subscribe to his channel. He's Kenyan. Okay, he's also American. So it's good to have it that way, that people recognize, you know, Africa as the motherland. Okay, wherever you live in the diaspora. Okay, if you are of African descent, okay, you are African. Okay, never forget your motherland. Okay, it's basically is the base of operation for everyone of African descent. Okay, go back. You can live wherever you want. Okay, but don't make Putin's claims real. Okay, don't make it seem real. It is a fact. It is a fact. Okay, this is what's going on, but don't feed it anymore. Okay, even if you wanna live wherever you wanna live. Okay, I want to have the African passport. I want it so badly, because so many places in Africa that I want to go visit. All right, I went to Mauritius 2 years ago. It was the most beautiful place I've ever been. You know, the most beautiful place, and I want to go there without. I didn't get a visa because of the Australian passport. Okay, because of the Australian passport, I can go to so many countries without visas. Okay, and I can stay in Japan for 3 months without a visa. in Korea, I could stay there for 90 days without a visa. Was that 3 months? I could go so many places. United States, UK. UK definitely. I can basically be a UK citizen if I go with an Australian passport. So it's gonna be great with the one African passport. Okay, you can go live everywhere you want in Africa. Okay. So I welcome the Agenda 2063. Okay. So please go to JPV's channel and subscribe to JPV's channel, and yeah, just follow him and follow what he's doing. He's so passionate about Africa. So there you go. So yeah. So to recap, all right, Putin's claim. I know this is really lengthy. You know, some of you are working, so if you if you're listening at work and you're not contributing, it's okay. You can leave a comment later when you get home or when you finish work, and I'll answer every. I always answer every question. So because this is the best thing about small channels. Okay, small channels, we can always interact. Okay, so I will always interact with you. So I wanted to read Putin's quote again, okay? And then we close out. So Putin's quote 3 days ago, okay? Russian President Vladimir Putin says, Africa is a cemetery for Africans. When an African becomes rich, his bank accounts are in Switzerland. He travels to France for medical treatment. He invests in Germany. He buys from Dubai. He consumes Chinese. He prays in Rome or Mecca. His children study in Europe. He travels to Canada, USA, Europe, or for tourism. If he dies, he will be buried in his native country of Africa. Africa is just a cemetery for Africans. How could a cemetery be developed? So this is plain and simple, all right? It's very, very easy to digest. You know, it's very, very easy to decipher. Okay, you can't dispute this. Okay, and the man that we listen to, okay, is a prime example of what this thing is saying. So he left his country, Uganda, okay, and doesn't see anything beneficial living in the United States. He doesn't see what makes the United States a superpower. Okay, he doesn't think that he can implement what he's seen in the United States back home in Uganda to make it work. My thing is, stop hating on white people. Stop hating on these people. Yeah, sure. These people colonized us. Da. Fair enough, but it's a new day. Okay, you're not being in chains anymore. You are not in chains anymore. Befriend these people. Okay, befriend them. And see, this is how I see it. White people are so genuine. Okay, if you come to them with a genuine proposal, they'll work with you. Okay, if you come and say, look, I don't know this, please, can you teach me? They will teach you. Okay, they will teach you. It doesn't matter. All you have to do is swallow some pride. Let go of certain pride. Okay, you look at I always say, look at Hong Kong. Okay, Hong Kong was built by Britain. Okay, when the British left, they left all the infrastructure. They left everything behind and went back. Okay, now Hong Kong benefited. China benefited hugely from Hong Kong. Okay, they used Hong Kong model to build all the cities. Now, before in 1997, okay, Hong Kong was about maybe 60% of the GDP constituted 60% of China's GDP. But now, okay, Hong Kong is less than 2%. Less than 2% contributes 2%, less than 2% of China's GDP. So China has reversed engineered everything the Europeans have done there to rebuild themselves. And this is what intelligent people do. Intelligent people learn. Okay, they learn, they emulate. Okay. But when a tribalistic person like this takes office, takes goes in power in Africa, you don't see any change because he's not incentivized to do any of those things. He's not, you know, he's only in it for his tribe, only in it for his family, and that's it, plain and simple. You know, that's when nothing gets done. So not until you get rid of tribalism in Africa, okay, nothing will ever change. Nothing will ever change. All right, so I'm still not sure if Putin said this, but it is exactly, this man is a prime example, okay, of what Putin or what this quote is saying, okay. He lives in the West, he invests in the West, he does everything in the West, okay, and then he's spewing rhetoric that Pan-Africanism is everything that's wrong with Africa, okay, and thinking that Pan-Africanism is fraud, okay, it will never work, and stuff like that. People like this need to be put in check, okay. People like these need to be put in check. Anyway, family, thanks for joining the live stream. I know most of you are working at the moment and listening, but I'm sorry I have to go now. It's 10:38 p.m. and yeah, it's almost 4 hours of this video. So please subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll try my best to be doing these kind of topics, and I say there's phones, tractors, electric grids, tanks, airplanes, reverse engineered. Yeah, China did all these, brother Ross. They've re-engineered even the drones. Some time ago, a drone, when Obama sent his Navy SEALs to go take out Saddam Hussein, or Osama bin Laden, when he was hiding in Pakistan a few years back. All right, one of the Black Hawk helicopters crashed in the, you know, they were so quick to, you know, go collect it, because China will go collect that before you've noticed, you know. Even Iran, all these people, all the drones, the US, all the Humvees, okay, all the American technology, okay, if it gets lost, okay, these people shoot them from the sky. They shoot them, it lands, and they take the parts, they go reverse engineer it and build better, all right, even better, faster, quicker. And I said this on JPV's video, okay, when you look at the technology coming out of China, the mobile phone, okay, OnePlus 6T, you know, why would you want to spend $2,600 buying an iPhone 10X when you can buy OnePlus 6T and get better functions than the iPhone? Why would you do that? Okay, you can buy a OnePlus 6T, which functions way better than the, you know, iPhone 6 for one third the cost of an iPhone. So basically, this is what's coming from China. All right, they're giving you the best technology and they making it affordable. Okay, so you can't compete with that. You can't. You cannot compete with that. So yeah, it is what it is. China have proven to the world they're very, very intelligent. Okay, they've always done this. They are a copycat. They always copy and reverse engineer stuff. All right, reverse engineer stuff, and they do it even better at an affordable rate. So yes, family. So yeah, I hope I have addressed this you know, topic fully. So yeah, if anything, please leave a comment, leave a question, and I'll get to it. All right, I'll get to it. So yeah, is there any questions? Please ask now before I end the stream. So yeah, if you are new, please subscribe. Go check out JPV's channel. Subscribe to his channel. I will be doing more of more interviews with him. Okay, so there's a sequel to the African realities versus the Western narratives. It's a sequel, so yeah. If you want, you can also go check out the description box. Okay, it has the gentleman that was speaking before, Brother Umitiful. Sorry, I butchered your name, but please, people, go check out his channel and see what he's about. Okay, and yeah, be nice to him. Okay, he just needs to be educated. All right, so yeah, it is what it is. So yeah. All right, family. Thanks again for joining, Brother Ross. Thank you for contributing. Anyone that contributed, thank you so much. And I shall leave it at this for now. Take care. Sabrina next. Thanks for joining. Kudra, thanks for joining. Tyru, thanks for joining. JPV, thanks for coming over. O'Shea, thanks for sharing the video. Thank you very much, O'Shea. Yeah, looking forward to another show with O'Shea very soon. Thank you so much. Yeah, plant based. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I guess I've mentioned everyone else. If I haven't, I apologize. But I think one comment just came through from Ras Ox Safari. Africans on the continent can and will reverse engineer the same and better very soon. Oh, you're very optimistic. I believe that too. I'm very optimistic, Brother Ross. But we need to get rid of tribalism. We do need. See, it's very obvious that tribalism is the root of all evil. Okay, in Africa, because like I broke down before. Okay, it's family, clan, family. Okay, extended family, then clan, then tribe, okay, then ethnicity. Okay, so not until you break that clan, that tribe, not until you break it down, not until you get rid of the tribe, okay, there's no real unity. Okay, there's no real unity, and it's only unity that you can advance in education and everything else. And I stated before, right, through the leadership of Mr. Abiy Ahmed of Ethiopia, okay, Ethiopia is having plans to go to the moon or launch a satellite. Okay, this can only exist in a unified country. Okay, with people with the same agenda. All right, so. Yes, exactly, brother. It's tribalism. It's tribalism. You lived in Ghana before. You know what tribalism does, right? You know what? Even Ghanaians are the most, they like to think they're the most progressive people, but the tribal elements are still there. Okay, the tribal elements are still there. Okay, they will vote for a politician because that politician belongs to the tribe. So instead of looking for the core values and principle of this person, the policies of this person, they don't look at that. They only look at tribe first. Until we get rid of tribalism, okay, we are going nowhere. All right. So on this note, I will conclude. All right. Thanks, family, and I'll catch you later. Peace out, brother. I will check out your Instagram, Brother Ross. All right, I'll check it out. Peace out, family. Thank you, and like the video on your way out. All right, peace out. Thank you. And I do this out of passion and out of love. Okay, and I'm not getting paid for it. All right, so thank you very much, and I hope to see a united Africa in the near future. And I hope that the Agenda 2063 of the AU bears viable fruit into the future. Okay. Peace and love. Chidrano signing out. Salute.